Welcome to the Formula Kite European Championships on Eastney Beach here in sunny Portsmouth on the south of England. We've got 112 riders from 28 nations doing battle at Olympic level on these incredible foiling boards, traveling at up to 40 knots. That's about 45 miles an hour. So about the fastest thing that you will see across any of the Olympic sports. Hi, my name's Andy Rice. I'm a sailing journalist from here in the UK, and with me is the president of the IKA, the International Kiteboarding Association, Mirko Bobini, all the way from Sardinia. And Mirko, we brought you Sardinian weather today.
Yes, I'm really happy when I got here and see a blue sky and sunny and windy. It's going to be a really nice day today.
Yes, we've seen all kinds of weather over the last few days. Storms earlier on in the week, but it's coming good just when it matters the most, because we are in the second last day of competition. We've got 4 races in Gold Fleet men, 4 races in Gold Fleet women. By Gold Fleet, I mean that the top 25 that have broken through from the bigger fleet that was racing and qualifying earlier this week. And it's all about those top 25 battling for the final 10 places for what we call the medal series, when the top 10 will finally do battle tomorrow, and we'll find out who gets onto the podium and ultimately who takes that title of European champion. Here's a recap of how things have gone so far this week. Day 4 of the Formula Kite European Championships on Eastney Beach near Portsmouth, and it was the first day of Gold Fleet racing, so the top 25 men and the top 25 women competing head to head. So how did it work out in the men? Well, we see a battle developing between the top 2 Italians, Riccardo Pianozzi holding on to the lead, but it was Lorenzo Boschetti who was the only one to win 2 races today, and he moves up into second place. So a battle developing there. Conor Bainbridge from Great Britain, he needs to qualify for the Olympics at this event if he possibly can. He drops down to 4th, but that's still good enough to take that one qualifying spot that's available for Paris 2024. Meanwhile, in the women, Poema Newland, well, she had a crash in the first race, her first tack of the day. She felt a little bit asleep. It seems to take her a while for the French rider to wake up, but wake up she did, because the next 3 races she got 3 back-to-back bullets. So Poema Newland in the lead, Ellie Aldridge in second, she's from Great Britain, and also from Great Britain in third, Lily Young. We get back to the racing tomorrow. It'll be the last day of Gold Fleet racing, and we go live. It's live streaming tomorrow. I'll be one of the 2 commentators giving you all the action on the live stream. We can't wait to bring you all the fun from Eastney Beach, so we'll see you then. So that was me yesterday, and as you know, you're here, you're watching me, and yes, I am one of the commentators, Andy Rice with Mirko Bobini, and we can't wait to get into the racing. We're just minutes away from the start of the first race, and we're going to start off with race 5 Gold Fleet for the men. And Mirko, who do we have in the lead? Because I think you know these boys quite well.
Yes, amazing to see the 2 Italian, Riccardo and Lorenzo, on the top of the result of today, which I think it never happened. It's the first time, so it's going to be really good for them, a lot of motivation for the Italian team and for the coaches.
So Riccardo Pianozzi, 20 years old, he sits on 10 points, but Lorenzo Boschetti, he rose up to second place overall yesterday. He was the only rider to win 2 out of the 4 races. So Lorenzo seems quite comfortable with these conditions, even though I saw he was shivering and he's been complaining about the British weather. It seems like he's actually quite comfortable. There's a lot of seaweed out there, and that's changing the style that they are riding in. There's more pressure on the back foot. They're riding with their boards pointing a little bit more up in the sky. We're talking about fractions though, aren't we? We're talking about tiny changes in the way that they approach it, but they find that the water here is sucking them down, which for most of us who don't ride, that's difficult to understand. But what do you think they mean, Mirko?
I mean, I've been talking with them and to a few other. Yes, it's true. Yesterday was relatively a little bit better compared to the previous day. Maybe also due to the rain that get into the water with all the river and then all the other things just close by. Yesterday was better, and they really hope that today is getting even better, so they don't have to play with this pitching and play with pitch on the board, which is not comfortable at that speed, and also less seaweed. So let's hope that today is going to be better. But amazing that they managed on the previous day how to change a little bit their asset and to stay on the water with the seaweed as well. So quite really technically is something really important.
Some of the riders, even Poe Newland, who's leading in the women, have actually moved the foot straps on their boards, and it amazes me that they can make such major adjustments to where they actually place their feet on the board. But they're really experimenting with different ways of dealing with this different type of water. It's quite silty, it's quite disturbed, partly because of the storms and also because of the strong tide that we have here in the Solent. I mentioned in that recap video just now from yesterday about some of the battles for the Olympic competition. Now, in the men, we've said that Riccardo Pianozzi and Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy are in the top two. Now, they've already qualified the nation to go to Paris 2024 next year, but we don't know which of those two or if any other Italian rider might yet win the trials. Is that correct?
Yes, we don't know. I know that the choice is going to be at the last moment. It's really important to have two Italian on the top, and when you get to a point to make the choice, I mean, you have one of the top. So it's going to be rather one or the other, keep pushing between them to be at the highest level as possible. I mean, we are really getting really close to the start, Andy.
Yes, we are. We got just 1 minute 20 to the start. The riders working out where they think is going to be the best position on the start line. If you start at the right-hand end of the line, it gives you the opportunity to tack away early. And Lorenzo Boschetti was liking the right-hand side of the racecourse yesterday. He was really going for the committee boat end start, and that seemed to be working for him. If you really like the right-hand side of the course, which will be over near the beach where we are and on Eastney Beach, then you might think about doing the port tack start, but that's super risky to do that. 40 seconds to the start.
Yes, the wind, compared to yesterday, the wind is a little bit more to the south, so maybe it's not so gusty close to the shore. Maybe they will go a little bit further and stay on starboard, and most of them they will start on starboard and go on the left side of the course. But let's see, just a few seconds away, we can see that they're getting more speed. They'll all line up. Let's see if there is someone that take the risk to start on port.
Now they're getting as close to this line as they possibly dare, but you cannot afford to be over the line early because then you'll be disqualified. So you push it as close as you dare. Watch those kites swing down towards the water as they put the kites in the power zone. And now the fleet blast out to the left-hand side of the racecourse on starboard. And now the drag race begins. And already we've got... It's a clear start, I hear, so no one was over the line. And I see one rider did go out to the right-hand side, the top of your screen, and there's a couple of others tacking out. And it's Florian Gruber from Germany who is the first to move out to the right-hand side. And Valentin Bontus, not a great start by him, but he is now breaking out to the right-hand side. The Austrian who was fourth at the World Championships recently, but leading the charge out towards the left-hand side. The guys who got really good starts are Théo de Ramacourt from France, the former world champion from a couple of years ago, Marcus Edegran from USA, and up in the front bunch also are the Italians in the top two overall, Riccardo Pianozzi and Lorenzo Boschetti. Mirko, whose position do you like so far?
As I said, I prefer to go all the way close to the ley line on the left side of the course and get more breeze. It seems it's a little bit more breezy on that side. So we start to see everyone going to the tacking and go to the other side. We see Riccardo and Lorenzo and Marcus Edegran tacking so far over the last few seconds.
And this is Riccardo Pianozzi that we see
Yeah.
in picture. Actually, that might be... No, that could well be the board on the other
Yeah, on
side.
the other side, of course, it might
which
be.
is Florian Gruber.
Yeah.
So for Florian Gruber looking really good on the beach side of the race course right now.
The wind had a quite a big shift now, looking on the tracking. If someone is looking on the tracking as well, they can see how the wind is shifting up there. And you can see how they now get the well angle, the good angle. We can see Riccardo and Lorenzo on the right side, on the center of the course, getting the right angle to the top mark.
So great starts by the Italians, and you said, Mirko, that you wanted to go out to that side of the race course, and it seems to be paying off for the Italians. And Florian Gruber from Germany, his early charge out to the right, still doing okay, but it looks like he's going to be passing behind, and we just see that on the left of your screen, Flo passing behind the front two Italians. So this is Italy 1-2 again, one first and second overall in the overall standings, and first and second in this race.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to wait until Mark 1, because as you can see Riccardo just going for more speed to try to stay in front as much as he can. Better angle for Riccardo now, which is on the bottom, and Lorenzo just trying to get more speed.
So, yeah, Lorenzo going more for lower and faster. That's Lorenzo almost the far left board, and Riccardo with the yellow bib just slightly further to the right. But we're very much looking at the boards on the left-hand side of your screen at the moment. And Riccardo Pianozzi, our yellow bib wearer, overall leader of the series, looking like he is leading this race. But Boschetti has tacked on the far side of the course. Will it be enough to take the fight back to...
Then it's going to be quite a game changer, this shift of the wind. We can see they spread out all over the course. It seems that the wind just went straight to the right side, and this is why I'm telling you, just wait around in Mark 1. It's going to be some kind of surprise, maybe.
Yes, we've been hearing so much this week about how shifty the wind is and how unpredictable it is. And because these boards are so fast and tacking is a relatively slow maneuver, you can't tack on every wind shift. You've got to pick your moments very carefully as to when you tack with these high-speed foiling kiteboards. But here we have our leaders coming in towards the top mark, and it looks like it's going to be Yannis Maus from Germany, one of those contenders we talked about trying to book his Olympic spot. Yannis Maus from Germany just leading ahead of Riccardo Pianozzi right on his tail, and just back from the front two, Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy and Lucas Fonseca from Brazil. Florian Gruber, he was the guy that broke out to the right-hand side early on out of the start. He looks like he's going to be in 5th place.
Yes, exactly. So they try to manage just tacking more than once over the first part. Still long. Then we see it's going to be tactics, and the tactics will play quite well also on the downwind part.
Really, really close between Yannis Maus just to the left of Riccardo Pianozzi, and very different stances. Yannis Maus much more leaning back with his stance, and Riccardo Pianozzi looks like he's more on the front foot, and he looks like he's getting on level terms with Yannis Maus. Pianozzi putting Yannis Maus under a lot of pressure here, and it's Pianozzi who was the first to drive away.
And we have quite a nice feature now on our tracking. We can see the top speed recorded over the last 3 seconds, and Riccardo Pianozzi is scored 26.4 knots, and this is why he's also overtaking Yannis on the downwind part.
So the front two, now the front three have all done their first jibe downwind, and there's a bit of separation between Maus and Pianozzi, doing similar speeds, but as you said, Mirko, maybe the Italian Pianozzi just a click faster.
Yes, he's a little bit faster than Yanis, but again, they're trying to look on the gas. We can see the wind is not well spread out all over the race course, and so they have to keep watching and try to get more, I mean, the right angle of the gas, and then not going up, but try to be deep
And
as much as they can.
it looks like the gust, the darker water is a little bit more up towards Portsmouth, closer to the beach, but a little bit hard to tell. Here comes the next jibe. This is Pianozzi going into the jibe at the bottom of the course. And now we'll see how he lines up against Yanis Maus as they come down to the leeward mark. And we'll find out if the Italian has managed to overtake the German.
He's in front, Ricardo, and Janis is just following, and Lorenzo third.
So a yellow bib wearer, our overall leader, moves into the lead of this race. He has moved ahead of Germany, but a great race for Yanis Maus as well. Although look at just how much distance Pianozzi has managed to pull on that downwind leg. So we said, Mirko pointed out that he was just a click faster, maybe half a knot faster, but that translates into quite an advantage. Yanis Maus has a slightly higher line out of the bottom mark, but Riccardo Pianozzi looking quite comfortable in the lead. Maus in second, Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy in third. And it looks like Florian Gruber has got up into fourth place. So we've got Italy, Germany, who have now rounded the mark in the top 4 places.
Yes, exactly. And we know how important it is for Germany.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a selection battle here for who's going to represent Italy, and we've got a selection battle for who's going to represent Germany at next year's Olympics. So we've got these battles within battles. It's about winning this European title. If you can do that, then everything else falls into place. But in the back of their minds, a lot of these riders who haven't yet been selected for the Olympics are thinking, what am I going to do to beat my teammate? Well, Pianozzi, he's ahead of his teammate Boschetti. What have you seen, Mirko?
No, just all the white. They try to manage.
A bit of wash, a bit of wake for Riccardo Pianozzi to go through. That's Pianozzi tacking at the bottom of our screen. Yanis Maus has already tacked away into the middle of the course, and that means Pianozzi has to cut across this powerboat wash twice, which is not ideal when you are foiling and potentially ventilating that foil, but he seems to have survived it okay. And Mirko, because the tide is running with the wind, it's very flat water today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super flat, which is really good because they would push a lot with their legs and try to keep a right angle with the board. And then again, on this kind of wind, which I guess we have a wind of about 8-9 knots, they are all in the 23 kite, so the biggest kite. Is really important to keep pushing a lot.
So they love being on the 23 square meter, huge amounts of power, and they're well within range of the 23 square meter today in this kind of breeze. Oh, a bit of a splashy moment there for the rider on the left of screen. I think that's
Yanis
Maus. It looked like he had a momentary loss of control, and another one there just as I said that. So we do need to remember that even though the water is flat, there may be still issues with seaweed. That could be the other factor that they're having to think about.
Yes, exactly. Now we are getting closer to Mark 1, like on the previous upwind part. Close to the mark, there is a little bit, the wind is shifting more to the right, and we can see that they try to get closer to the mark and then go downwind, go for better VMG, so better speed, hit the lane line, and then tack. Quite not normal part, but
we saw the kite. Oh, someone's in the water, just going off to the left of our screen. So that reminds us of just how difficult these are to manage, these kites. We're seeing the very best in the world make this look very easy, but it really isn't. And this is Yanis Maus on the left of your screen, rolling his kite up through attack, but it's still going to be Riccardo Pianozzi who crosses clean ahead. So Pianozzi on the right, look at how he's stamping the board. He's putting pressure through the foil, making sure that he's up to speed and doesn't drop into the water. And Pianozzi with the yellow bib looking in control of Yannis Mouse, but Yannis is keeping it tight with the Italian.
Yeah, they are all close. Just Lorenzo a little bit behind, but Janice and Ricardo, they are really close.
So Yannis Mouse may be the fastest rider up that windward leg, which they're just about to complete as they go round the top mark for the final time. And it look just out of picture. We think that may be actually to the right of your screen. Connor Bainbridge, we think, has had a crash down. So Connor Bainbridge, we haven't even mentioned him in this race so far, lying in 4th place overall and looking to book a spot for Great Britain. Looks to be in trouble. He's had a really good start to the regatta, but not going so well so far for Bainbridge today. Meanwhile, it's Pianozzi at the bottom of our screen, still leading. Yannis Mouse still chasing him to try and steal back the win from Riccardo Pianozzi. And it's Yannis Mouse who's floating his kite up into the air and is going on the attack. He wants to create a little bit of separation with Pianozzi, but Pianozzi's having none of it. He's jibed as well, and he's stamping his board. He's pumping the board to accelerate the board out of the jibe.
Yes, they're keeping the speed. I mean, it seems that the wind is not really strong, and we can see on the downwind part, they don't even go over 25 knots on the downwind and not deep.
25 knots, you're complaining about a lack of speed, Mirko. 25 knots. Most of us have never traveled 25 knots on water in our lives.
Yeah, but here we have to complain because usually with 10, 12 knots, they manage to go over 30 easily.
Which is the crazy thing about these tiny but efficient bits of equipment. So fast. They are breaking all the laws of physics to be able to go 3 or 4 times wind speed. We haven't got time to explain to you how that works, which is just as well, because I find it really difficult to explain. But these are phenomenally efficient machines, and currently they're being driven very efficiently by Riccardo Pianozzi in the middle of your picture, and Yannis Mouse from Germany still trying to attack the Italian and trying to win back this race 5 from the Italian. But it doesn't look like the Italian is going to put a foot wrong in this race, and it could be another victory to Pianozzi.
Yeah, let's see. There is always the last bit on the slalom part. We never know.
We never know. They're about to come into one of the most tricky and challenging parts of the race course, and every maneuver is difficult. But that is a jibe successfully completed as Pianozzi comes down towards the bottom of the course for the final time, and then he'll swing his kite round towards the final slalom mark, and it's a 180 turn round the slalom mark and back across the finish. Yannis Mouse has kept it tight with the Italian as well. Italian just pumping. He's a little bit concerned that he might not be able to keep the board above the water, so he's just applying a bit of extra power through his legs to make sure that he is foiling successfully just above the water.
Yes, then try to avoid any possibility to have an extra jibe because it's going to be a disaster. You're going to lose a lot of time. So they try to get the right angle to the mark, rounding the mark and go straight to mark, which is for us, it's mark 5, and then a full jibe, which is going to be the last one, and then straight to the finish line.
So just 4 seconds between them. Pianozzi still leading Yannis Mouse, but Pianozzi knows that he can't afford to put a foot wrong as he prepares to jibe around the slalom mark, which will be the final turning mark. So the Italian, he's looked so solid throughout this race. This is the final jibe around the slalom mark, swing the kite back down into the power zone, and then it's the charge towards the finish line. Good jibe by Yannis Mouse as well, although he's got to pump his board a little bit to get up to full speed. Pianozzi just seconds away from taking victory in race 5, and that is confirmed. Another bullet for Riccardo Pianozzi, who extends his lead with the yellow bib at the top of the leaderboard, and a great finish by Yannis Mouse. You can see from the pumping his fist that Riccardo Pianozzi is extremely happy with that race win, as he should be. And Yannis Maus, well, second, that's nothing to be sneezed at either. And he is now pulling ahead in his battle with Conor Bainbridge for that one spot that's available for a European rider to go to the Olympics next year. Some of the riders have already secured their spot from the World Championship that happened in The Hague in the Netherlands a month ago. But some of the leading lights like Yannis and Conor Bainbridge missed their opportunity a month ago. Here is another opportunity, but only one spot available for the men, one spot available for the women. Back to you shortly.
In all of us that's looking to the horizon. At the RYA, we live to bring more people onto the water, to make them and you feel confident, inspired, and welcome in our amazing community. We'll help you learn and gain the skills you need, and we're here for you wherever you are on your journey. We're ready. The water's open, so let's go together. RYA, together on the water.
So we hear that race start is delayed for our first race of the day for the women. We've got a really interesting scenario lining up for the women. But Mika, why do you think that there might be a delay to the race start? Because it looks like nice conditions to me.
Yeah, the conditions are nice, but maybe the wind just drop a little bit. Maybe they are shortening the course and line up a little bit if there is some shift. We saw the gust and some shifty wind, so I think they are just finalize the setting on the course, and it's going to be a start shortly.
And that was our race officer, Mikhail, that we saw on board there just briefly. And I was expecting him to see him dressed as a Horatio Nelson, our famous admiral from Portsmouth, but he looks like he's fairly conservatively dressed because Mikhail, he has a reputation not just as a great race officer, but for his sartorial choices as well. He does like to dress up, doesn't he?
Yes, I mean, we know Mikhail is really great on find some different dress, and everyone know him. He's such a great person.
And
really a different official.
He definitely is. And it's a different type of racing, and it takes a lot of courage to be the race officer. There's some really difficult decisions to be made throughout the day. It's a high stress job, but Mikhail seems to wear that stress quite well, and he wears a lot of different costumes quite well. So we're on a race delay. We will come back to you shortly. So they're just changing the course. There's going to be an adjustment to the course. Mirko, the target time is about 12 minutes per race. How long was the one that we just saw with the men?
Yeah, it was quite longer, around 16, between 15 and 16 minutes, so longer than usual, which it might end up on like that because it was just a change of wind strength. So maybe they start with 10, 11 knots, and then if the wind dropped to 6 to 7 in most of the part of the course, then obviously you go slow and the target time will not match. So this is, I guess this is why the start is delayed. Again, they are finalizing the course and ready for the battle between the girls.
Okay, well, we're about 5 minutes away from the start of the first women's race. Now, there have been some protests this week, and I think of Valentin Bontus, the Austrian who was fourth at the World Championships recently. He won a race on day one day one of qualifying turned out to be the only day of qualifying, so it was a really critical day to get right. You didn't want any slip-ups, but Bontus was protested by Marcus Edegran from the USA and was disqualified from his race win. Funnily enough, we did an interview with Valentin recently about the whole nature of protesting, so let's see what he had to say. Sorry about that. I'm going to see if we can get the protest video with Valentin Bontus, just to explain the nature of protesting.
The Olympic classes that I've worked in, by far the most fun are the Formula Kites, and no one embodies this more than this guy, Valentin Bontus. Valentin, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you come across as the class clown sometimes. Is that fair to say?
That is absolutely fair to say. I'm happy to be making everybody laugh a little bit and kind of loosening everything up, because sometimes it gets very stressful and very strict around here, and then it's good to have somebody making a joke here and there. But then when it comes to, you know, being serious, I'm absolutely for it, that you have to be on point with your performance.
I can see you getting more serious at times, but I also see that the whole fleet is getting more serious, and incidents that people used to let go, a touching of lines or a touching of kites, is now becoming an offence that some people are protesting. Do you think that the kiteboarding world can hold on to its innocence now that it's gone Olympic?
Well, I think, as you say, like touching lines and everything is a break of the rules, and I think we'll have to get into a stage where we have to separate the friendship kind of relationship to a professional racing relationship, because at one point, if it's for an Olympic medal, let's say, I'm not gonna just not protest you because you're my friend, right? We have to separate those two worlds for sure.
Well, Valentin, I hope you manage to keep that smile on your face and everybody else's. I do see it getting more serious, but if people can fight on the water and still be friends, I'm sure that would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that everybody will be mature enough to separate those two worlds, and it's for sure going to be still a very good vibe around everybody, and professional and a proper way of living with everybody else.
Cool. Thanks, Valentin.
Thanks.
Well, ironic that having had that interview with Valentin, that he finds himself in exactly the scenario that we talk about there. It was just a faint touching of lines between Edegran and Bontus that resulted in a protest and led to Bontus being disqualified. So it's these small margins that people used to let go in the days when maybe the Olympics seemed a little bit further away, but now we're getting to crunch time. We're just less than a year away from the Olympic Games, and those marginal situations are things that people are starting to protest about, because there is a lot riding on this. Talking of which, we've got a minute to go to the start of the women's race today, race 5 Gold Fleet, and we've got 3 women in particular that we want to watch out for Olympic qualification. That's Austria's Alina Corneli in 5th, Julia Domasovic in Poland, from Poland in 6th, and not far behind on points either, Spain's Gisela Pulido. So a little battle there to watch out for between Austria, Poland and Spain. But meanwhile, it's Poema Newland from France who has been setting the pace ahead of 2 British riders, Ellie Aldridge and Lily Young. We've got 25 seconds to the start. Mirko, what side do you want this time?
Again, I want to stay on the left side of the course, and it makes also more sense if they reduce the distance between the starting line and the top mark. Let's see if it's going to be right. It seems that all of them, they're going to be on starboard. Let's see how many they will tack on port. Just a few seconds away to cross.
And a really, really tight start. Will it be a clear one? We'll let you know shortly when we have the answer. And it is a clear start. There we have it. So very good judgment by the fleet. And at the top of our screen, I see the red kite of Gal Zuckerman has started towards the right-hand side of the race course, but leading out towards the left, it's one of Germany's top riders, Leonie Meyer, who's got an amazing start, and Annelies Lammerts from the Netherlands, who's lying in 4th overall. So really good starts for them. And with her nose poked out further up along the fleet, it's Magdalena Wojciechowska from Poland with a great start, and Lisa Caval from France. So some of the younger riders really going well in the early stages.
Yes, exactly. We see someone just a little bit, the one not in the front line, that they are tacking to go on port, but it seems that all the fleet is going all the way on starboard toward to the ley line. And they're going quite fast.
Funnily enough, it's the two Israelis, Gal Zuckerman and Maya Ashkenazi, that are going out to the right-hand side. But here we are with the riders on the left, and Nina Arcic with the yellow kite going very fast at the bottom of our screen and looking very strong. Leonie Meyer also looking good, and Ellie Aldridge, you'll see in the middle of the fleet, also going very well. So Ellie Aldridge, who's won a number of races earlier on the week, slipped back a little bit yesterday, had a string of seconds to Poema Newland's first, but Ellie Aldridge going well in the early stages.
Yes, Ellie Aldridge, she scored a couple of bullets on the previous day.
Yes, yeah, pretty handy, pretty handy. And one of the smaller riders as well, Ellie Aldridge, not that heavy. We are seeing riders getting heavier as they discover that more weight equals more power equals more speed through the water. But Ellie Aldridge has not really had to do that much work in the gym to bulk up. I'm sure she does a lot of work in the gym, but she's pretty much maintained her original body shape.
Yeah, quite surprisingly, the one that went on port and they tacked to the right side of the course, we can see in Lily Young, Ellie Aldridge and Lisa Caval now they are to the tracking on the top, and Poema now 4th, but we can see changing position quite quickly because again the wind is shifting, and until they don't rounding the mark, it's really difficult to see who's going to be first.
So now the port tackers all on the starboard ley line, tacking onto starboard, trying to avoid any tangles with any of the other riders already on starboard. Tangles are very much a hazard and a risk of this type of racing. One of the riders hasn't quite managed to pull off the tack, and just to your left of screen, you can see that she's sunk down. Her kite goes in the air as she tries to use the kite to water start her out of the water, but that is a disastrous stop for that rider on the left. We'll try and identify who that is in a moment, but she's barely keeping her kite out the water, and you do not want to get your kite wet. If you get your kite wet, it makes it even harder to re-establish the kite in the air, and everything becomes less efficient. Meanwhile, at the front, well, who is it? It's Ellie Aldridge, who is leading around Mark 1, so it's the home favourite wearing the blue bib who takes the lead around mark number 1, and also doing very well around the top mark. It's Katie Dabson also from Great Britain. So it's a Great Britain 1-2, followed by Maya Ashkenazi from Israel, who was one of the first to go out to the right-hand side towards Eastney Beach. So Maya Ashkenazi has made the right-hand side of the racecourse work. And then it's Lily Young from Great Britain in 4th. So currently Britain 1st, 2nd and 4th in this race. Gisela Polido in 5th, Gal Zuckerman in 6th from Israel, and our yellow bib wearer Poema Newland back in 7th place. So not too bad from Poema Newland, but Ellie Aldridge has the opportunity to move into the overall lead if things stand as they are.
Yes, exactly, Andy, and almost like happened with the men, the wind is really gassy, and you can see how they try to get the right gust and try to keep the gust as much as they can to go deeper and deeper and getting closer to the bottom mark in this case. Ellie Aldridge she's getting quite a good angle, really deep, and also fast, hitting 23, 24 knots on the downwind leg, so, and extending the lead. Katie Dobson and Gisela, she went always from all the way through with a really nice gust and getting deeper and deeper and going faster, 23, 24 knots for Gisela, which is really good.
Gisela Pulido, one of the smaller riders, she probably would like to be taller and heavier, but that's not her frame. An amazing multiple world champion in freestyle, Gisela Pulido, but she really wants that spot in the Olympic Games. She wants to represent Spain in the Games, and at the moment, out of the three that we've highlighted, she is ahead of the other two, Julia Damasovic and Alina Corneli, the Polish and Austrian riders. So good race so far for Pulido, but it's Ellie Aldridge who extends her lead around the bottom mark. Beautifully executed leeward mark rounding for Ellie Aldridge, who stretches away, and look at the night and day between Aldridge and the second place board coming around now. It's teammate Katie Dabson.
Yes, amazing lead by Ellie.
Round in second, Katie Dabson, followed by Gisela Pulido from Spain. Lily Young has slipped back a little bit. She was in fourth, but she's been passed by Magda Wojciechowska from Poland. And now look how busy it is around the leeward mark. This is why Ellie Aldridge will love being where she is, because it's getting really busy around the bottom mark. We've got, in amongst that group, we've got Poema Newland, Leonie Meyer. It's really, really busy around the bottom mark, but so far no tangles as far as I can see. It looks like everyone's managing to keep it clean, but all the traffic behind her, the traffic jam, means that Ellie Aldridge is able to keep on stretching away, looking really comfortable in these light winds here on the Solent. And you'd think that Ellie Aldridge, coming from Great Britain, would have spent a lot of time training on these waters, but they travel so much internationally, and actually they haven't done significantly more time on the water than the international riders that have come to the UK. But whatever it is, Aldridge seems to be comfortable, although she's had a splashdown. It looks like Ellie Aldridge is struggling with that tack, and this is going to give away valuable space to the chasing pack, and now her kite touches the water. This is an absolute disaster for Aldridge. Can she get that kite back up in the air? This is super hard, and the trouble is that there's only about 6 or 7 knots of wind, so there just isn't a lot of power, and if you lose the apparent wind across the kite and you're just relying on the wind itself, then this is what is in danger of happening. And now Katie Dabson and the rest of the fleet are moving ahead of Aldridge, stricken and unable to extract herself from the mess that she's got in after not being able to execute a clean tack. Will Katie Dabson be able to do any better? We will find out shortly, but having seen what's happened to Aldridge, everyone will be very aware that every manoeuvre has a lot of jeopardy in it right now. And Aldridge, just to the right of centre of picture, still struggling to get that kite out the water. And it's Julia Damasovic who we think is now leading. So things have changed up this second windward leg, and it might be the Polish rider who now moves into the lead. And remember, Julia Damasovic is one of the ones we're talking about for Olympic selection. So somehow she has managed to pull ahead of Gisela Pulido. So big changes on the racetrack right now. And it looks like Katie Dabson, if you look at top right, Katie Dabson and the track, the tracer, it looks like the two British riders that were first and second are both struggling with kites in the water. So from being a British 1-2, this is a British disaster right now.
Yeah, now it seems that Gal and Alina, they are leading first and second. Again, we need to wait. We need to wait. Okay. Okay. Race abandoned.
So just as we say, we see that race abandoned. Gal Zuckerman have moved into the lead with her distinctive red kite, but Gal Zuckerman executes attack, doesn't manage to complete it, and you can see why this race has been abandoned, because the wind has dropped so light now. It's dropping to less than 5 or 6 knots, and we're below the minimum.
And super patchy, as you said, a lot of jeopardy and all the different ranking changing. The really good call by the race committee.
Okay, we will be back to you shortly. Okay, no, we're still with you. So we will wait to see what happens, but this could be a while before the next start.
You can see November flag display on the board. Let everyone aware that the race has been abandoned.
Okay, we will wait to hear what's happening soon. Back to you shortly. So there's Mikhail, our race officer. You can see he's communicating to his team what he wants to happen next. But what we don't have is a hotline to the weather gods. We sit and wait to see if the weather, if the wind will start to pick up and give us more consistent breeze across the racecourse here off Eastney Beach. There is our shot back to Eastney Beach, and what a lovely day it is for everybody who's come down to see the competition. But I fear that we are going to go to a postponement. I can see that our race director is getting the flag ready, and if you heard that, that is the double hooter to say that racing is going to go on hold. Back to you soon, and we will update you with what's happening next.
It will take quite a while.
Mirko, so we see the boards coming back to the beach. If your kite goes in the water, and we're seeing that right in the middle of our picture, no, it looks like that kite will reach the beach okay. Kites in the water is not good news, is it?
No, it's not a good thing for the riders, because I mean, you having the kite wet, it means heavier and less responsive to the line, and it will not perform as the dry one. So they try to manage to avoid any opportunity to have the kite into the water, and when it happens, they need to come ashore as quick as possible and try to dry. So this is why when also the wind is dropping and they start to be really not with the right strength, it's better to abandon and call them all to the beach.
So coming back to Eastney Beach, there's our race officer Mikael. He's the man in control, trying to make the best of some difficult conditions right now, and we're hoping that the breeze will pick up soon and that we can get back into racing fairly shortly. And we saw the first one to come down was Ellie Aldridge, who was leading the race, and then Katie Dabson, who was then the new leader. We saw her board drop into the water. Is there ever an opportunity to jibe around rather than do attack, and does that make life any easier, or is that just as difficult in these marginal conditions, Mirko?
I mean, when it's no, not really. I mean, it means that it's gonna be really marginal. But again, as far as you are on the right angle and you can keep flying the kite, rather you can tack, and obviously it's really important to manage to pull the kite and you know, luff it down as quick as possible to keep the power on the kite. But,
yeah.
I mean, if the wind goes to 2, 3, 4 knots, and then you have to jibe instead of tacking, then it means that the race will be abandoned.
Yeah. And does it pay to be a lighter rider when the wind is lighter? Does that play to the advantage of Ellie Aldridge being one of the lighter riders, for example?
With the light wind, again, always been target weight, it pay off, because you can really push a lot and you have more weight into the foil. So yes, maybe to start going into the foil, it will help just at the first stage, but then when you have to perform and you have full power kite, then it's better to have a couple of kilo more.
Talking of weight, it is an issue. It's often discussed topic in all forms of sailing, and kiteboarding is no different. We had a conversation with Great Britain's Lily Young about the subject. So here's what Lily had to say about it.
Seems like foiling and the speeds that people are doing, the heavier you are, the faster you go. And so I'm wondering aloud to Lily Young here from GBR, what kind of pressures that creates, particularly for girls and women?
A lot, and I think definitely the average weight of the fleet has increased a lot in the last year. We've had surveys put out up to do with the next cycle about the maximum kite sizes females should be able to use, and at the end of the day it's very tricky because certain people are going to be benefited from weight caps on the kite sizes to the women's fleet.
Okay, and what's your personal feeling about that? Because obviously girls and women want to be one side for sort of general day-to-day living and feel good about themselves, but if you've got that, if you know that if you're a bit heavier you're going to be faster on the water, how do you play that compromise?
I think it's definitely really tricky because it is elite sport we're doing, and weight definitely plays a part, as it does with lots of other different sports as well. I think having a weight cap, we need to be really careful about what weight that is and how that affects the general fleet and how it affects the individuals in the fleet as well. I think looking forward, there needs to be some deep consideration, I think, into how the next few years are played out with the weight in the women's fleet and the size allowances that there's going to be for the next cycle.
Yeah, and so that could be that we don't see 23 square metre kites in future. It could be that the limit goes to 21 or something like that. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, the main thing is the bigger kites. They're looking at the limits of the the larger sizes, as they're typically the ones that are harder to hold on to for smaller riders, and what those limits would look like could be limited to an 18 metre, could be limited to a 23, which is generally the biggest that the men use. So people have been voting, there's been lots of discussion, so in the next few coming, I think, months, we'll see how that unfolds and what things come out of the surveys.
All right, well, thanks for clarifying that, Lily. Weight, as you say, is always an issue in elite sport, pretty much whatever we're talking about, and kiting's no different, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways for people to put on weight. It's harder for some than others to put on weight. You obviously want to put on weight in the best way possible, which is usually by lifting in the gym. But it's definitely tricky. It's definitely a difficult subject for lots of coaches to approach with their sailors, and lots of people to work out, you know, mentally about how they're going to get better, especially if you're one of the smaller riders and you're struggling to hold on. It's definitely a big issue.
All right, well, thanks for talking about it, Lily. Cheers.
Cool.
Yeah, so Lily Young doing very well this week. Recently got a bronze medal at the World Championships and lying in third place in the European Championships. So Lily Young coming on really strong. Mirko, currently the biggest size of kite for the men is 23. Just remind me, what's the biggest for the women?
At 21.
21.
Yeah.
And there has been a vote, Lily referred to it there, after Paris 2024, after that cycle is complete, leading up to the next Olympic Games, so we got Los Angeles 2028, and the kite size is reduced slightly.
Yes, it will be 21 for the men and 19 for the women, just to have a little bit smaller kite, maybe lighter, and for sure with better performance, because for sure all the kite manufacturers, they will make something new.
Okay, let's bring you an update on the scores on the doors. Well, it's still Italy in first and second. Riccardo Pianosi's race win moves him further ahead of Lorenzo Boschetti, who was third in that race and still holds second place. Yanis Maus, his second place, puts him firmly in third, ahead of Croatia's Martin Dolenc on 31 points. And just going further down, Conor Bainbridge did not compete. I don't know what happened with Conor. We did see that his kite had fallen to the water, so maybe the British rider was one of the early casualties of this breeze that was beginning to soften. And look at the gap now that exists between Yanis Maus and Conor Bainbridge, the German and the British, who were absolutely level on points at the beginning of the day. Now it's Yanis Maus who is in the box seat for taking that one Olympic spot. But remember that the way that this works is that provided you stay in the top 10 going into the final day, any one of these top 10 could still go forward to win the overall event. It's the way that things work in the medal series. We'll explain more about that later, and we'll certainly explain it to you tomorrow, because it's a different format, it's a different concept, which we think is working really, really well in kiting, and we think it may well be adopted in other parts of the sport of sailing as well. So that's the situation there. I don't know if we can see the women's scores. Just to remind us, I know that we don't actually have a new race to add to that. I understand that they didn't change. Just wondering if we could see them and just remind ourselves what the situation is. So here we are. So Poema Newland wasn't going terribly well in that race just then, but it doesn't matter to her because the race was abandoned, so she maintains the lead. Ellie Aldridge, what an amazing lead she was holding in that race until it was abandoned, and she was one of the first casualties of that wind softening as she tried to pull off that tack. So Ellie Aldridge in second, Lily Young in third, Annaloes Lammerts from the Netherlands in fourth, and then that real close battle between Alina Corneli and Julia Damasovic in fifth and sixth, fighting for the Olympic spot. And just behind Madeline Anderson in seventh is another one, Gisela Pulido, fighting for an Olympic spot for Spain. And then Nina Arcic from Poland in ninth, and Katie Dabson, who moved into the lead of that race very briefly, the British rider, sitting in 10th. So the British looking very strong on home waters. But then again, Mirko, we've seen the British squad, the women's squad, looking very strong wherever they've gone in the world, haven't we?
Yes, doesn't really matter where they're going to race. They are always on top and having more than one. So it's a squad. It's a real team, as you said. They getting better and better between each other, and there is always someone on top, which is typical teamwork, which for them it's working really well. And Hedy she's performing really fast here so far. Hopefully the wind will come back soon and to have again the battle. And as you mentioned, the fight between Alina and Julia and Gisela on the race that has been abandoned. Gisela, she was on third, which would have been helpful for her quite a lot to gain some points to the other. So
Yeah.
the battle is going to be just postponed.
Come back and do it all again this afternoon, hopefully. And meanwhile, they'll be frantically drying their kites out on the beach, trying to get that water out of the kites, having seen their kites fall to the water. On the success of the British, we did an interview with Stevie Morrison, who has been coaching the British. Stevie is another familiar voice from the sailing commentary world. You'll hear his voice on Sail GP, and he's a former 49er world champion and twice Olympic representative in the 49er skiff, which has actually quite similar tactical and strategic demands to the high-speed kite foiling. So I know that the British squad have really appreciated his input. Here's what Stevie had to say about the world of kiteboarding.
So I've been part of the British sailing team for well, since I was young and I was a sailor. I started off in the skiff classes, racing the 49er class. Went to the London Olympics, went to the China Olympics before that. Won the World Championship, European Championship, and was somewhere near the front of that fleet for probably far too many years. But I've now evolved to the coaching game, and I do work in sailing outside of the Olympic scene as well. But yeah, just here to get a feel for what kite surfing is. You know, 49er sailing was very revolutionary in 2000 and seen as the crash and burn, fast and furious side of sailing, and now kiting is going to take sailing to the next level, I think, and it's great to come and see it. Sailing is sailing, and it's evolving all the time. Kiting can sometimes be called not sailing, not real sailing, and of course it's not sailing as some people would remember it, but fundamentally you're trying to get across through the water powered by the wind as fast as possible. And when you see Sail GP, you see the America's Cup, that's very much not sailing from the 1800s. It's into the modern age, and the Olympics is all about the youth. It's all about pushing things forward and trying to find the limits, and the limit of our sport now is foiling. And kiting's very much the cutting edge of that. So when I've been out there watching the race, and yesterday, I can assure you it's a sailing race. It's just happening an awful lot quicker, and the decision making has to be like that, and you've got less decisions to make. So in some ways it's an awful lot harder because your reaction time has got to be quicker, but your decisions are fewer, so they've got to be more accurate. Yeah, so my 49er background has led me in many different ways. I'm now working as a commentator for Sail GP. Love it or hate it, but certainly I enjoy it. And when I see Sail GP, I see an awful lot of the 49er class, the skiff sailors there, and it's really interesting to come here. And I've seen Iker Martinez, who was the gold medalist in the 49er in Athens, two-time world champion. I've seen a lot of 49er skiff sailors. We've brought other Olympic sailors with us as part of the British team here. So I think, you know, that skiff background, that fast, quick decision-making type racing is where kiting sits. Now, clearly, we're not going to be able to teach anyone how to kite, but we've seen a lot of these sort of set play type manoeuvres and this fast, tight racing, and I think that's where perhaps we can offer some thought.
So that's the situation on the beach, Eastney Beach, on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here on the south coast of England. Joining me in the commentary booth, Kai Calder from the USA. Kai, thanks very much, and sorry that you didn't make it into Goldfleet. You had a difficult qualifying day, and there was a lot riding on that day because with the compressed schedule, losing the first 2 days because of the 45-knot storms, it was a do-or-die day, and unfortunately it didn't go your way, did it?
No, unfortunately I had a tough one. You know, we only had 5 races, and it was kind of all on the line there, and you know, just had a few tangles and mishaps with other competitors. You know, I think with this you know, super competitive European fleet and a lot riding on the line here with kind of the last spot, or, you know, one of the spots available for the Europeans. I mean, yeah, everybody was really pushing it, and, you know, I just didn't bring my fierce A game, you know, like I needed to, unfortunately.
With the great benefit of hindsight, anything that you could have done differently, approach the day in any different way?
I think I just needed to be a little more aggressive. You know, I think everybody was just gunning for it and, you know, just pushing it on all aspects, whether it be the starts, their lay lines, and, you know, everybody that made it into Gold Fleet, they wanted it and they took it. So, yeah.
I remember speaking to Conor Bainbridge, who ended up leading out of that day, and he said he just wanted to keep it boring and not do anything silly. So he was talking about not pushing it. Yannis Mouse, he went for port tech starts, made them work. So I could understand if it's difficult to know what kind of approach to take into that day. And I wonder if being aggressive would necessarily have worked for you. I mean, sometimes you get too aggressive and you end up in tangles with other riders.
Yeah, I mean, you get a bit overexcited and a bit you know, you kind of overextend yourself and kind of put yourself in bad situations and, you know, kind of get out of the game plan, and you're not really, you know, cerebral out on the course and thinking and seeing the shifts. I mean, we could see today that it was really tactical, a lot of wind shifts, and I feel like on that qualifying day, we got a lot of that as well. So if you're kind of too overexcited, you're not really focused on the tactics, like what this venue's offering, and, you know, then you're kind of doing things that are out of character and not really what you trained, you know. So, but then you have Giannis that just totally pushed it, went for the port starts, it totally paid off for him, and now he's in this position where, you know, he could cinch that Olympic dream for him, for Germany at least.
What about you? Where do your Olympic ambitions lie? Because you've got other opportunities with the Pan Am Games. So what's the roadmap for you towards Paris 2024?
Yeah, so, I mean, we have Marcus going to the Pan Am Games to represent the U.S., and it's looking like he's pretty strong right now. He's putting on a really good performance. I know he's been working really hard. So, you know, he has a really good opportunity to cinch the spot for North America and the U.S. there. And then, at least for the U.S., we have an early selection trials, which is going to be in January, basically right after the new year. I think we have registration on the 5th of January, and then from the 6th to the 12th, we have our trials. So, I mean, our timeline's getting pretty short here. You know, I feel like this year's totally flown by for us. And, yeah, I mean, our trials are coming up sooner than we know it.
Right, so not long after Christmas. Now, most of us don't want to overindulge at Christmas. We don't want to eat too much, but in the world of kite foiling, maybe you're going to have extra helpings of turkey and extra potatoes on the plate.
Totally. I mean, obvious, and we have Thanksgiving as well in the U.S., so we have two good opportunities to be eating as much as we can, gaining all that weight, putting the time in at the gym. So, yeah, no, it's pretty good for us to gain there.
Right, and the nature of your trials is what? It's just a 1 week trial in the USA?
Yeah, so it's just one event. It's a winner-take-all, U.S.-only riders, so there'll probably be anywhere from 6 to 10 of us on the course. It's going to be more of like a match race style racing, and yeah, it's just a week, and at the end of it, we have one person that'll rise above everyone.
Right, very different to what we see with some of the other selection trials where there's a committee that decides who they think is best to represent the country, and a lot of different systems, aren't there?
Yeah, right. I mean, you have some countries that are using bigger events to see how athletes perform, you know, under pressure. Like, for example, I know a lot of countries are maybe using either Princess Sophia Regatta or Semaine Olympique, and, you know, they just want to see with a big fleet how you perform. You know, other countries kind of want to predetermine based on your results over this season, over the 2023 season. And then, like our country, they just want to do one event, kind of, you know, like, keep it exclusive to only the domestic riders there, and just a winner-take-all type series.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what's your background? Where did you come from before coming into kiting?
So it's funny, I only grew up kiting, and my dad, he's the head sail designer for North. He's a big-time sailor. He actually went to the Olympics himself. He got a bronze medal in the soling class, and so, yeah, I mean, he's been sailing his whole life, and he's done quite a few America's Cup campaigns, and so he kind of pushed me to try and do the Opti class, and unfortunately, that was just a little too slow for me. I didn't really pick up to it. I didn't really like it that much, and, you know, one of my friends in primary school was just saying, hey, come down and see what I'm doing, and I just, from there, I was hooked, and I said, Dad, this is my form of sailing, right? The kite's my sail, the board's my boat. This makes sense for me. And so from there, I just started doing like the twin tip, freestyle racing, and then all of a sudden went out to the Bay Area, saw Johnny Heineken out there. He was a total stud on the course board, multi-time world champion, and then all of a sudden the foil got introduced, and here we are.
Yeah, and I wonder, your dad coming from winning that medal in a soling, a keel boat, there's been quite a lot of opposition to kiting coming in as a sailing discipline. More traditional sailors would argue that kiting is not sailing, it's something completely different, and that's been a bit controversial. What was your dad like? Was he okay with you not doing the optimist and doing the kiting instead?
He was a bit hesitant in the beginning because he just wasn't really sure what the format was going to be like, and he wasn't really sure, you know, with the equipment and if he could actually help me that much. But, you know, as soon as he saw it, he was just like, oh, this is kind of like typical sailboat racing and, you know, just a lot higher pace, and he loves it now. I mean, in the beginning, he was a bit hesitant, but now that he sees it, I mean, it's super fun. And, you know, him and I we have such a great time being at the events and sharing the passion together. And yeah, he's super fiery and really loves it. So it's been a lot of fun doing this together with him. I
met him at the Worlds in The Hague about a month ago, and he seemed to be having a great time. And I think for those that are skeptical, when they come to an event, they tend to be charmed by it, and then they start getting addicted to it. I think it's really hard to make a judgment about kiting until you've actually witnessed it for yourself, because once people see it, they are hooked.
Right. I mean, I feel like we just saw the Villanova event with the AC40s this past weekend or a few weekends ago. And I mean, it's looking really similar to kite foil racing, you know, with the upwind starts, with the tactics. I mean, you see American Magic, you know, in the beginning, they're kind of tacking on boats and doing typical, you know, sailboat tactics. And then all of a sudden that's not paying off. And you're seeing kind of the tactics that you would have in kiting kind of almost overlaying into that. So it's really cool that, you know, a lot of people perceive us, or, you know, they view us as surfers and not really sailors, but all of a sudden here we are kind of having similar tactics to those boats. So it's really cool to see us start to overlay into that, and we're actually more of sailors than surfers. So it's pretty cool.
And you look at that strong squad of female British riders, Ellie Aldridge, Katie Dabson, Lily Young, Maddie Anderson. Most of those riders come from a traditional sailing background, and the RYA had a Kiting for Gold program a few years ago. They could see that this was going to be the next Olympic discipline. We didn't have a lot of background in it in Great Britain, and they had this program of taking sailors out from other backgrounds in the sport and bringing them into kiting, and it seems like it's worked. So that does suggest that this is another form of sailing. It's not something completely different.
I mean, you see so many people that were either sailing the laser, sailing the fin, you know, sailing a 49er that had some, you know, high performance experience, and then they just want something to go a little faster, and, you know, they put in a year and they get the board skills, and all of a sudden they're hyper competitive on the course. They know the tactics, they know the start line, they know what to do on the course, and they know how to execute. It's just a matter of having the board skills. So it's really impressive to see, you know, some people just totally shortcut the learning curve. I mean, I've been kite foil racing for the last 8 years, and I see people come through that have only been racing for about a year or two, and they're just so competitive now in Gold Fleet, pushing it. So it's really impressive to see these guys come from, you know, a sailing class, not really kiting at all, to now they're, you know, one of the top 25 guys in the world.
Right, and LA 2028, that must be quite a sort of an incentive, a carrot for you to keep on going for at least another 4 years towards LA 2028. Is that on the radar for you?
I'll have to see. You know, I mean, I'm getting a little older here. I'm going to be turning 30 soon, and so I don't want to say age is a limit, but, you know, we look at the fleet and we just see how young all of these guys are, and you know, how much they're pushing it, and, you know, how aggressive everybody is. I mean, I still have that in me. I really love it, but, you know, I definitely see that how physical it's getting as well. I mean, I don't want to say Father Time's catching up to me, but, you know, it's just another 4 years of pushing it, a lot of commitment. So we'll have to see. I mean, it would be great to compete on home waters, but yeah, we'll have to see with the youth. You know, you have Noah Runtsman from the U.S. that's still young, really, really keen, and kind of still developing his racing skills. So yeah, we'll see. I think there could be another campaign in there for me.
Right. Isn't it scary to think that 30 is old in this world, but the reigning world champion from Singapore, Max Mader, he's just 16, isn't he? So seems like it's a little bit like skateboarding. It does seem to reward really young riders.
Right, and I mean, when you're that young, you really have your senses in terms of feeling the board, feeling the equipment, feeling your kite. I feel like there's so much heightened at that age, you know, and so you have somebody like Max that is just so in tune with his equipment and also just so smart. I mean, for him being 16 years old, it's so impressive, like how professional he is. You see how he composes himself off the water as well as on the water, and the work that he puts in. I was really fortunate to train with him and Martin last year in Croatia, and just, you know, the attention to detail that he has on every little aspect, it's incredible. And you can see that translating through the whole fleet. You know, and all these kids that are just really, whether it be their posture, you know, the fitness, the equipment tuning, I mean, you name it, they're leaving no stone unturned. So it's really impressive.
Kai, thank you so much for joining us. Wish you the best in the Silver Fleet, and I wish you a fast return to Gold Fleet in future competitions, and of course the very best of luck in those Olympic trials in January, when it's you, Marcus Edegren, and maybe Noah Runciman and a couple of others that I can't remember right now, but it's gonna be really high octane, that US trials, and we'll see who comes out ahead.
Cheers.
Wish you all the best. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Cheers. Right, quick ad and we'll be back to you soon.
At RYA, we live to bring more people onto the water, to make them and you feel confident, inspired, and welcome in our amazing community. We'll help you learn and gain the skills you need, and we're here for you wherever you are on your journey. We're ready. The water's open, so let's go together. RYA, together.
So that's the situation on the beach at the moment. Thank you very much to Kai Calder for joining us in the studio just then. Relative old guy for someone who's closing on 30 years old. So that gives you a sense of just how young this fleet is, and how talented some of these teenagers are. Riccardo Pianozzi, who's leading in the men, has only just departed his teenage years. He's only just turned 20, and he's currently leading the fleet in the men. And Ellie Aldridge is in her mid-20s, representing Great Britain. Pia Newland leading the women. She's also in her mid-20s, but generally a very young fleet. Now, Kai Calder talked about transferable skills, and how he saw the AC40 racing, the Small America's Cup boats, as similar kind of skills tactically and strategically to what you see in kiting. Flo Trittle, now he's a kiteboarder as well as being a man of many other talents. He'll be racing for Spain in Sail GP this weekend. He's also finished on the podium at World Championships in the 49er in the last couple of years. Let's hear about transferable skills from Flo Trittle from Spain.
Man of talents, recent medalist in the World Championships in the 49er, his new class, NACRA 17 in the Olympics and Sail GP as well, and he used to be a kite faller. What took you away from this amazing world, Flo?
Good question, eh? I come back and it's really amazing. So yeah, it was 4 years since I last time came here, and probably what took me away is that back then it wasn't Olympic.
Right, and now it is, so maybe we'll see you back. But
No, I don't think so.
how transferable are the skills? How useful was this to take into your NACRA campaign and now Sail GP, for example?
Yeah, for sure. I think the kite surfing class has been leading with other classes, has been pioneering the transition from not foiling to foiling. And yeah, me being part of it has always given me that slight sort of leap in experience with foiling boats and foiling boards in this case. And I think what is very transferable in this case is obviously that fast decision making. You have to be committing to, like things happen twice or 3 times as fast, and you have to be thinking 5 steps ahead to be making it right.
So Sail GP 50 knots top speed looks really fast, but actually which is the faster thinking game? Is it that or is it this?
Difficult question, eh? I think it's a tough answer, but I think at the end of the day, all foiling classes, they require that fast decision making. that thinking ahead. And obviously it's a different case on the F50s, where we are 6 athletes on board and we have to communicate, which is giving one extra step towards that cue. No, you have to be not only doing it but also communicating it before doing it, so it's just making it longer, and that's maybe the only thing that differentiates it.
And do you think that some of the other riders here, some of the top guys and girls, can see a future in some of the other foiling events like America's Cup and SailGP?
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's since it's so related, them being used to such fast speeds, it is something that they can use for their advantage in future. No, obviously it's a different class, and I think what I've seen now, in these 4 years that I've been away and now coming back with it being established as an Olympic class, you see how much more professional it gets, how the teams are starting to work with all that Olympic knowledge from their country that they can get, and they will build up on that, and I think that's sort of the gap that they can close towards the sailing classes, and then from there on they will be fully competitive.
Flo, great to see you back here. Look forward to seeing a lot more of you and at next year's World Championship.
Likewise, thank you.
So that was my conversation with Flo Trittel. Loves his kiteboarding still, but he finds his professional life these days to be in the 49er for the Olympics and in SailGP as well, racing for Spain. Meanwhile, joining me in the studio, Poema Newland from France, leading the European Championships. Poema, thanks for joining us. That looked like a really tricky race. How was it going for you in that race, abandoned just now?
It was a nightmare, because it was definitely not enough wind to do a race, and but they still did it, and so we had to try and survive. It was basically just surviving, because we couldn't choose. Like, we had to follow the wind, but the wind was not really here, and it was really bad for me, because at the upwind mark I tried to tack and I swam. Like, I stayed stuck because I didn't have enough wind. Then I tried to come back. I was like last, and then on second upwind everyone started like swimming, and we couldn't even tack, and we could barely jibes, and then they decided to abandon it.
Right. And so that was before the first windward mark that you had your first swim, was it?
Yeah.
You managed to get going again?
Yeah, I managed to go up on my board again and try to catch up, but it was definitely a bit like lottery and just surviving skills.
Having said that, Ellie Aldridge, she was leading the race. I mean,
she's so good.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, we took the start really close, and yeah, she had a really good speed and angle. It was really impressive.
So, meanwhile, previous days, you had a fantastic day yesterday. You won 3 out of the 4 races. And we've spoken a lot about seaweed, and that's been a real challenge this week. And the way that you set up your board with a lot more pressure on your back leg.
Yeah.
Seems like, even though these conditions are unusual, you've really managed to do very well at it.
It's still not the same feeling as usual, but we, like, I just tried and put my old straps on the back, and that's the only thing I can do. And it's still a bit tricky, but I think it's rideable.
Meanwhile, we see Riccardo Pianozzi, who won that first race on the left of our picture, maybe going to be speaking to Mirko fairly soon.
Are you sure? No, it's Lorenzo who won the first race.
I thought it was Riccardo.
I don't know, maybe. I think it was a Blue Bib that won the race. So Blue Bib, it's Lorenzo.
Okay, well, we'll have to come back to that. So we're panning around across the shore at the moment. Do you watch the men's races?
Ew.
I'm not sure what's happening.
Okay.
Maybe we're going to get an interview with Riccardo. I'm not sure. Yes. Yeah, so Mirko's going to have a conversation with Riccardo.
Stay there, I need you. Only one question for you. Only one question for you after. Okay, we are here with Riccardo Pianozzi. He's leading the Gold Fleet. At least he managed to score the first How was out there? I mean, looking from the screen and from the drone was not easy at all.
Hi everybody. No, it's very, very hard. There is no wind, but yeah, it's okay. I managed to win, so for me it's okay.
Okay, so what you expected later? Did you check any forecast for later afternoon, if it's gonna change?
The forecast looking good for the afternoon, so we wait and we will see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ricardo. And we know that he's running, so let's find out somebody else. Yeah, come with me.
Is on the hunt for another interviewee. Hang on. Poema, yeah, so really difficult with the seaweed.
Yeah.
What was it like out there today?
I mean, we couldn't really find out because we did not really, like in the downwind, we had only one downwind and then we all swam. But it was better, like I think it's like getting worse when there is more wind. But because it, like today was more flat than the other days, and I think the lift was better.
Okay, yeah, so really subtle changes in the setup. Now, how important is it for you to do well this week? Obviously, the reigning world champion Lauriane Nolot is not here. This is your opportunity to show what you can do. And is it important for you to win this European title?
Yeah, I think it is because I've been struggling a bit all this year to kite at my level and like reach the goals that I wanted to reach, and now like I think I've found something. I would like maybe start to believe a bit more in myself, and yeah, just want to do it for myself and no one else.
Okay, well, wish you all the best with that. Let's see if we can have a conversation with Mirko, and I think that's Gisela Pulido from Spain. So let's see if Mirko can have that conversation with Gisela.
Let you start changing the course. And here we are in SC Beach with Gisela Pulido, which is one of the contenders for the Olympic qualifier. So Gisela, we need something from you. First of all, you didn't get quite a good start on the race that has been abandoned, but at the end, when it was abandoned, you were almost leading the race. So what you next?
I have to do a good start to try to be at the first place from the beginning, but it's quite challenging. We are like a lot of girls and with a really high level, so it's quite hard to be at the top since the beginning, but I'll try my best, stay focused, stay sharp, and like for me, it's the most pressure I have during the race is in the start, because it's like you can win a race in the start almost, so you have to stay focused.
Yes, exactly. I guess, and I really hope that you can manage to have a clear start, not too close to the other competitors, and then try to make your tactics around the course. But again, compared to yesterday, we see you faster.
Yeah, yesterday I was struggling a bit with the seaweed and with my kite that was not performing really well. And I didn't feel myself fast as usually, but today I'm back on track and I like light wind. I'm light, I'm 60 kilos, so I think with this kind of conditions I'm quite good, so fingers crossed.
Okay, finger crossed for you, see you in the water and off for the wind coming back.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, we need you in the different way.
Really?
You want to answer on the microphone like that? No, you can continue playing. So we are waiting for you.
Do I take off the sunglasses?
Oh, you can keep it, whatever you want. Okay, we are here with Yanis Maus. What a great start you had on the regatta today. And then you managed to keep second. You were fast, but what do you expected next? I mean, it's really important that you have to continue to stay on the top.
For sure, I really need to push and hopefully even secure the first or the second spot in the final tomorrow. Today is actually a little bit more tricky than I think we all expected. The wind was predicted to increase over the day, and now we have a massive drop. I think it's a little bit related to the clouds and the humidity and like the temperature differences that we have between the sea and the land. So actually anything might happen in the afternoon. We might get even to 15s, or we may stay on the 23 with very light and shifty conditions.
You prefer 23 or 15? Because we see you on the regatta that we had today on the 23, you were really fast.
Yeah, I think on the 23, I can be really fast, especially when it's shifty and light. So I think my racing is really good there. But honestly, I really enjoy riding on the 15 because the speeds are just faster. You can accelerate even better. Mark roundings are faster. You have more to play with the time of the maneuvers because they get quicker. So anyway, 23 or 15, I'm really nice to ride them, and I enjoy every condition that the sea throws at me.
Great. I'm gonna ask you the last question. We saw from the drone, I mean, we are an advantage that we can see from the drone, and was really tricky to manage how to decide to go on the left side of the course, on the right side of the course. You were always a little bit more to the right, Ricardo a little bit more to the left, Lorenzo a little bit more on the center. How did you make that choice? At the end, it was quite the best choice that you did.
Well, so when you start, you always have a game plan. So you, like, first of all, start into the race. Okay, do I want to go left or do I want to go right? I had a really high start on the start line with the option to go right. So as soon as I saw that the fleet below me was dropping into the window, I could immediately take over and have the option to always go for the pressure. I mean, it is shifty, but with those light winds, you always go for the pressure. And I think I did that really well. And yeah, looking for the right spots on the water, and that worked quite good for me.
Yes, exactly. You were right. Perfect. Thank you very much. And we are all hope that the wind increase and see you back in the race area. Thank you, Gianni.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you very much for that, Yannis and Mirko. Poema, we understand that the AP flag, the postponement flag, is coming down. How do you feel about that?
I just hope it will be better than when we first went in the water.
Right.
Yeah.
So hoping for a bit more breeze then.
Yeah, a bit more breeze, more stable. But yeah, if they said it's better, then it's probably better.
Well, we hear it's 10 knots of wind, so
Okay.
hopefully that's enough to get you up and running and
Yeah.
get you launched out of that start line. Poema, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best for this afternoon, and,
Thank you so
and go
much.
well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we hope to get you back in. So thank you, Poema Newland, leading in the women and getting ready for the AP flag, which we hope will be coming down shortly, and then we will get back into racing. Mirko, what was the mood on the beach? How are people feeling? Are they feeling optimistic that it's going to get going again soon and for some good racing?
It's not about feeling optimistic or not. They are all of them hoping to have the right call when it's going to be back. They're going to be back on the water to have a proper wind. They struggle really a lot on the last race that has been abandoned, and also to get into the beach, avoiding to have all the kite in the water, which we know none of them they will like to have a wet kite. But there is a really good feeling. They like most of them, they really said it's super flat, which they really like it, and it's going to be a good call now if the wind will increase back to make the choice between the 23 or the 21 for the woman and the 15, because there is kind of an overlap around 12 knots, 13 knots, because the water is flat, so you can stay really overpowered on the 23, so lose some angle, but maybe have a better speed on the downwind. So it is a quite of interesting discussion on the beach.
I'm surprised they're even having that discussion. I thought it would be absolutely clear-cut, go for the biggest kite you've got in your quiver. They're already talking about switching down a size?
As far as there is, 12, 13 knots, they are thinking about on having the 15.
Well, yesterday it was 15 all day, and the day before that, it was a constant switch between the two biggest kites in the quiver, the 15 and the 23 for the men, and it seemed like someone would rush back ashore, change to the 15, go out on the 15, as soon as they're out there,
come back.
Need to change again and come back for the 23. It was a really difficult day with the clouds coming across the sky. It was sunshine, then rain, rainbows, and very difficult to choose the right kite for the day, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And also it might happen again today, because now the wind went a little bit to the left. There is an average of 10 knots, and when from 6 get back to 10, let's see if it's going to stop to 10 or it's going to gust close to 14 or 15. Then, it's going to play which kite I'm going to choose.
And Yanis Maus, that was the hooter that tells us that's the AP flag down. So the women will be getting their kites ready. But yes, I was just about to say, Mirko, Yanis Maus was one of the first to make a call to change down to the 15 on the qualifying day, and that worked really well for him. I think he and another rider that changed early to the 15 ended up coming first and second in that race. So where is the advantage of going to the smaller kite early? Is it the upwind?
Yes, mainly is the upwind. Obvious. It's important to have a full power, the kite with full power. On the angle and on the speed upwind, it helps to have a smaller kite. But on the downwind, you have really to rely on your choice, not to lose a lot of, to round the mark on the top, because then you might take the decision to lose some time, some space on the downwind part. So it's always a balance between the upwind part and the downwind part. Personally, I really like, as far as I can, to go on a smaller kite, because it's more comfortable and helps the angle and maneuvering during the starting, pre-starting and the starting part. But again, if the wind then it will drop a couple of knots, then you're losing speed, you're losing performance, and then you struggle to be in the top 10. So you need always to do the right call.
It's a constant headache in this sport, isn't it? Never quite know what to choose, whereas a laser sailor doesn't have any choice. They have a single sail. They go out and they adjust their sail to whatever the conditions demand, but they don't have this demand on them to make the right call for the right kite.
Yeah, but again, we can go in some detail. There is a single person flying on a small hydrofoil system attached by 4-line to the bridle and the kite. So the balance for all the equipment is really in small detail. And as you mentioned before, someone also changed the foot strap, so it's a kind of the position of the foot. The board, we have to remember that some of the girls have the 1 meter 30 centimeter board, and is a 2 kilo board. And then there is just an hydrofoil which you are flying a meter above the water. All these small things, they make the difference in the water. So this is why they have the headache, and try to make the right call on setting the line, setting the bar, have the bar not too far away from the body to have the perfect, trimming on the back line. A lot of small detail that makes the difference. So this is why they are always there and looking in the wind and try obvious to make the right setup and the right call with the right size of the kite.
Well, that's Anneloes Lammerts from the Netherlands, lying in 4th overall, who's got her red and black fly surfer kite in the sky, and hopefully she feels confident with her choice. And then just off to the left is the ozone, the yellow ozone kite of Nina Arcic from Poland. So the riders getting launched and getting ready for the start, which is in just over 19 minutes time. Now, we will be back to you shortly and we'll update you with progress. That's Anneloes Lammerts heading out to the start, and really good show put on here for us by the organisers of this event, the Royal Yachting Association, who have put in months, if not years, of preparation into hosting this event. Not only are they proud to be so well represented by their strong squad of sailors, but this is also an opportunity to inspire the next generation. So there's been some really great on the beach activities, getting the kids on the water and also showing them how to manage a kite with a small 2-meter practice kite, which they've been doing in playing fields nearby, just giving local school kids a taste of what it might be like to go kiting. And a very dramatic crash just there. I'm not sure who that was putting on a show for us in the middle of the screen. I'm not sure that was intended, but we'll see how well that rider manages to recover to her board and get herself up and running again. But what she's going to try and avoid is for that kite to fold up and fall to the water, because you really don't want that to happen. And there's our view back to Eastney Beach. And really is a spectacular day for us to be showing the best of the Formula Kite European Championships. We just hope that that breeze really does come in at 10 knots and that we can start getting the racing underway in about 17 minutes or so. So yeah, we say a big thank you to UK Sport for helping fund this event, for the Royal Yachting Association, for Portsmouth City Council, who have really put a lot of effort into to make this event a success. And on the days when the riders weren't able to go racing, on the first 2 days of competition, there was so much in the city of Portsmouth for them to do. You can go up Spinnaker Tower, 100 metres above the city, above Gunwharf Quays, that amazing shopping centre. Nearby, it's the historic dockyard with the likes of HMS Victory, the boat that Lord Admiral Nelson used to win the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. This is steeped in maritime history, and I'm not sure what Horatio Nelson would make of this form of maritime battle, but it's all a continuation of sail power. It's all the same sport. Once you understand how the wind works and how to harness it, those skills apply to pretty much any form of sail-powered craft that you choose. But these are probably the most efficient in terms of a lightweight 1 meter board or 1.5 meter carbon board, a hydrofoil underneath your board, a kite up in the air, and this propels you along at speeds up to 40 knots. That's about 45 miles an hour, all purely from the power of the wind. Now, Joe Glanfield, he has won a couple of Olympic medals for Great Britain, and now he's the top coach for the RYA. He coaches the coaches these days, and he has come to see some of the kiteboarding events for himself as well. So here's Joe Glanfield's take on this amazing sport.
Glanfield, and I'm the head coach of the British sailing team. So essentially I work across all 10 classes that compete at the Olympics. I've got a long background in the Olympics, so I competed at 3 Olympics myself in the 470 class and got 2 medals. And then I've coached the last 3 Olympics, coaching Hannah Mills with Sastia Clark and Ailey McIntyre at the last Olympics. So I guess my background is very much dinghies. Always has been, and my understanding of kiting is quite limited, but I guess what I would bring to this environment potentially is more of an understanding of the Olympics itself and how to build up to the Olympics. So I guess my purpose for being here really is to get a better understanding of the kite class. Where are the parallels, where are the similarities between other classes that have already been at the Olympics for a number of cycles, and what's different, what's new, and will we have to approach in a new way? Well, I think I'm still learning where kiting is at now. I think what we've probably seen in other Olympic classes that have come in the past is people get more professional, people will increase the number of hours they're doing, and people will add more process to how to get better. You know, you would expect that the winners of this Olympics will be at a higher standard than they are now. So really it's a development game, you know, and them figuring out how do I methodically improve. I'm not greatly placed to know that, but I think I don't think it's inevitable. I think what probably is inevitable is that the racing gets closer. So then inevitably there's more interaction between boards or boats in another class, and that will need to be worked through. Whereas before there was probably bigger speed differences and so more space on the course. As that fleet improves, it gets more congested. So people then need to be more aware of what's around them and understand those limits better. And then maybe as the class evolves, also the rules need to evolve a bit, or the application of the rules. But I'm not, in a way, I don't have a great view of that and what that is in the kites. Kiting, you know, is another form of board sport, and which is a part of sailing, and you know, it uses the wind to propel itself in the water. So I mean, that's sort of what equipment you use is to do that is quite varied now across the Olympics, but they're all different shapes and forms of a similar sport. And you know, in my time outside of the British sailing team, I also coach Sail GP, and that's sailing, and that has a lot of similarities to kiting, both in terms of the format of the racing, the speeds that they're travelling at, and the fact that you're foiling. So we're seeing the sport is in a period of evolving right through, whether that's in a dinghy, on a windsurfer, or with a kite. But you know, I think they're all shapes and forms of a similar sport.
So that was Joe Glanfield, and yeah, one of the great thinkers in the sport. I remember interviewing Joe Glanfield at the 2008 Olympics in China. Now, it was expected to be a really light wind event, what most people would have considered to be horrible conditions, not even worth going racing in. But that was where the Olympic regatta was happening in Qingdao, about 3 hours train ride from Beijing. And I remember Nick Rogers and Joe Glanfield sailing the 470 together. I said, how do you get yourself excited about racing in no wind? And they said to me, light and lovely, Andy, light and lovely. So other people would have other ways, less complimentary of describing that kind of condition, but they learned to love the conditions. And Mirko, that reminded me of a conversation that I had on qualifying day. I'm not going to name names with the riders, but they were talking down the conditions, saying how rubbish it was that day and shouldn't be going racing. And they were clear Gold Fleet qualifiers who ended up not making the Gold Fleet. And I can't help thinking that they talked themselves out of the game. Whatever it throws at you, if Michael and the race officer and the race committee say that you're going racing, you better make sure that you're mentally ready for it. You can't be talking yourself out of it, can you?
No, absolutely not. That is, you already answered it. That you need to not question about. I mean, you know, you have to make the call. You control everything, and then this is what it is, and then everyone have to follow.
And one of the things that you could get upset about is the amount of seaweed in the water, and the weed gets on your foil and you think you've had an unlucky day, but chances are that everyone's having an unlucky day. So
I mean, I was just jumping another sport. You do car racing and it's raining. Someone get more water in one side of the course and the other one stay on the drier side of the course. If someone can't make the choice, I mean, you know that that's the game. It can't be exactly the same for everyone. This is when also sailors, they are a little bit more clever, and I'm not saying that you can avoid seaweed because you can't see it, but we saw after the second days to find somehow to have a different angle just to have the seaweed, just move it faster away from your hydrofoil. So I guess that unless it's really not practicable, I mean, you can't really sail, then it's sailable, unless it's really bad.
yeah, I mean, if there's enough people that are able to cope with it, then that makes it sailable.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Beside that, maybe there is a line where it's about safety. I mean, if we have a big tree or whatever, because by the flooding it's gonna be on the race area, this is another thing. But the race committee usually understand when it's raceable or not.
Yeah, yeah, and at the moment it's looking good. It looks like the breeze is back, and we should be able to do a rerun of race 5 of the women. I'm just trying to get right. So here we are. So here is the weather as things stand at the moment. 11 to 15 knots of wind. So it's coming into that changeover zone, Mirko. Maybe the 15 square meter might be a call for some riders, but at the moment we think that most of the women are on their 21 square meter.
I guess to avoid the risk, because usually it happens when the wind start to fill it in, is always a little bit higher, and then after 15-20 minutes it goes down and it's getting more steady. So I guess that any one of them, they will take the risk to go on a smaller kite. Is a crossover, is a bridge, so 21, that's the right choice.
Now, I was speaking to one of the security guards here who protects the compound here at night. His name is James, and he looks up at the clouds, and he was making very accurate calls about what was going to happen in the next 30 minutes or so. I'd love to get his input on what he makes of the clouds right now, but he talks about looking up at the clouds that have the shape of mare's tails and mackerel scales, and when you see the mare's tails and the mackerel scales, you know that tall ships should have small sails. So the mare's tails and the mackerel scales are the shape of the clouds, and when you see those clouds, you know that the wind is about to pick up. And so he would be saying if you see those, then you should be changing down to your size 15 kite. So there's some good local expertise here on Eastney Beach, and we've had a nice view of the clouds there. They do give us clues as to what to expect, which is pretty important for selecting your kite, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, that's in reality what has been forecasted, unless just it was a drop on the early afternoon. 270, 275 was kind of the right direction that we expected, and between 10, 11 and 15 knots and cloudy, the cloud build during late afternoon. So, there is an island, a lot of differences between land and water temperature, and the wind did come a little bit more onshore. So then behind our shoulder is getting more cloud and different temperatures. So all the low and high pressure locally play a lot of on the local weather. So I guess that the the guys that are living here or the fishermen, they can, I think it's true, they can really have a look on the cloud because, I mean, by memory, I mean, by experience, you can predict the wind.
And as you know, Mirko, we British, all we ever talk about is the weather. And now that you've been here a few days, you can understand why, because the weather is changing all the time in England. And we've seen absolutely, well, yesterday and the day before, we saw 4 seasons in one day. It was just changing all the time.
Yes, exactly. This is I learned also. A few years ago, I was spending a couple of days here in Portsmouth on when I was involved on the team, and I really learned that you see the sun. Okay, you can wear a short, but then after a couple of hours, it's better to have a long pants, and then why take your coat, and then you will see, and then you will need it. So it's really a kind of what you have in the morning. Most of the time is not what you get in the afternoon, and maybe it will change, and for sure it can get wet. So, like you said, you have to be ready for everything here.
It's very brave of you to come here. You come from Sardinia. You've got thin blood. You're not used to this, and you're probably close to hypothermic right now, aren't you?
Yes, it's not. It's not super warm, but it's okay. I can end a couple of hours more.
For me, it's a t-shirt day, and you're wearing a t-shirt as well. But yeah, you're
because I want to stay close to you. Then.
You try to pretend that it's not hurting this cold.
Yeah.
No, we still think this is a good day. But it is getting late in the season, and it's been a long season for the competitors, and some of the overseas riders like Daniela Moroz from the USA, she's taking time out to recover from a long season. But that leaves the door open for other riders like Poema Newland and Ellie Aldridge to see what they can do. We got just under 3 minutes to the start of race 5. We saw Ellie Aldridge winning the race before it was abandoned. Now what's going to be the pattern of play this time? Mirko, I always like to ask you which side of the course you would choose. To me, it doesn't look like it matters too much. It looks like there's opportunities on both sides.
Yeah, and then I would say center left, because it seems to be that the wind is more steady on the left and less gusty close to shore. Because again, it went a little bit to the left side. What it was predicted middle afternoon. So we supposed to end up on the wind close to 240, 250, something like that. Let's see what's going to happen. But again, center left, not on the right.
And I think I did see a 15 square meter kite there in amongst the melee. I'm not the best at telling what size they've got, but can you work out what sizes we're looking at there, Mirko? Is it a selection or is it mostly one size?
No, someone has a small kite, but we can see some big kite as well. So that 21 and 15. Also, it's going to be interesting not only to figure out which side of the course, but who is getting the biggest kite.
Okay,
maybe
so
in front or not.
To be fast out of the line, maybe the smaller kite is the better kite to have when you go coming out of the line.
If you are full power, otherwise you're gonna lose angle and speed. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we have our start boat, the yellow boat bottom left, and the riders will be taking position. Most of them will be starting on starboard tack, and what a beautiful view behind of Langston Harbour and Hayling Island on the right and Eastney Beach on the left. Beautiful part of the south of England. We got 40 seconds to go, and we got a good breeze across the Solent, and you can see the pattern of the fleet beginning to line up. This is the women in Gold Fleet lining up for race 5, the one that was abandoned earlier, and we're coming into the final 25 seconds. The majority on starboard, and it's Gal Zuckerman from Israel with her red kite leading the charge in on starboard, just trying to judge their time on distance. You don't want to be over early, you don't want to be disqualified, but you do want to be in the front row. Girl Zuckerman on the right of picture with her red kite, looking like she's going to take the pin end of the start. Yeah, one on port, starting behind the rest of the fleet. And really good start by Gal Zuckerman off the pin end of the line, and it's a clear start. So well judged by the fleet, and the majority going out to the left-hand side. And the port tack starter was the French rider Heloise Pigorier. So we'll see how Heloise does going out to the right-hand side. Gal Zuckerman looking strong on the right of your picture with the red kite, and just to the left of her, it's Maddie Anderson from Great Britain, also going out to the left-hand side. And then further into what is Annalise Lammert's also one of the left-hand pack. And Katie Dabson more in the middle. Nina Arcic and Maya Ashkenazi have tacked out to the right. On your picture now, the red kite, Gal Zuckerman from Israel on the left. And then it's Annalise Lammert's next along and Maddie Anderson.
Yes, they continue on starboard. So it's most of them, they're going all the way to the left. And Gisela is in the center, Katie Dobson, Lily Young, Alexia Fancelli. They are all on the center of the fleet. Start tacking, keeping the center of the course, not going all the way far to the ley line, which it makes sense. But it seems that the wind. Looking on the tracking, something weird.
It looks like there's a port tack lift coming in like we saw in the men's race earlier in the day, or it could be that they're just getting up to speed. Gal Zuckerman on the right of the pack with the red kite, not come out so well out of that, and Annalise Lammert's with her red and black kite not coming out so well. It looks like Heloise Pigorier has done very well on the far side of the race course. She was the one that started on port tack, going her own way out towards Eastney Beach, so she's doing very well. And Maddie Anderson from GBR also looking good on the left-hand side of the racetrack. She's leading the pack on the left-hand side, further out to sea.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now because it seems that still quite an important shift on the center, on the right side of the course, so it's going to be really important if they keep the pressure and the wind is okay, because we can definitely see the different angle between the side where Heloise Pigorier and Nina Arcis are compared to Ellie and Madeleine. Yeah.
So these are the boards coming towards Eastney Beach. You're just going into their tack. That I assume that means that they think that they're on the starboard ley line, and that's Poema Newland, who's managed to complete her tack. One of the other riders, not such a good tack. She's finally got up and running on the right of screen. So someone was struggling with the tack there. And here is a... Oh, that was looking like it was going to be a fantastic tack. We think maybe it was Ellie Aldridge.
Yeah, I think so.
So Ellie Aldridge may have had a crash down there.
So Leonie Menier, Madeleine Anderson, Alina, and Maya Skenazi are the four leading the pack.
Yeah, so Leonie Meyer from Germany doing very well, and Maya Ashkenazi, who has really liked going towards the Eastney Beach side of the race course today, seeming to make it work on a pretty regular basis. Maya Ashkenazi has been going well. Leonie Meyer in the lead, followed by Great Britain's Maddie Anderson, followed by Israel's Maya Ashkenazi, and Alina Corneli from Austria in fourth, Gal Zuckerman in fifth. And we think Ellie Aldridge is around sixth or seventh.
Yeah, she managed to recover quite quickly.
But it's very tight at the moment, isn't it? Leonie Meyer, yes, she's leading, but she's got Maya Ashkenazi and Maddie Anderson breathing down her neck. So really, really close battle between the front three right now. They're doing about 23, 24 knots of speed. There's a bit of a gap back between the front three. Actually, it's more like touching 26 knots of speed at times. Ellie Aldridge and Lily Young, two of the riders to make an early jibe out. So the two British riders back in about 6th and 7th place, looking to see if a different way down the racetrack can help them overtake the front runners. Annalise Lamet's also going well in the middle of the jibing pack, and Maya Ashkenazi and the leaders on the left have now jibed as well. So most of the front runners are now on port jibe.
It's going to be really interesting when they're going to hit on the left line or the lay line and then do the last jibe before rounding the mark. It might be some change on the leaderboard.
Do you think there are slightly more waves now, Mirko? I'm wondering if it's not quite as flat as it was earlier. I wonder if that's a sign that the current is beginning to change, that maybe the tide is turning?
Maybe the tide is turning, but again, it seems still quite flat.
So there's a lot of considerations, and the hidden challenge that we don't see is the seaweed.
But we can see how patchy it is from the drone shot. And you can see, because I mean we have the opportunity to see from from the drone, which they don't have this opportunity, and see how patchy it is on the right side, on the left side of the course.
So maybe that side of the course up near Eastney Beach is not so reliable for wind. Meanwhile, Leonie Meyer from Germany is leading the pack. She's now stretched a bit of an advantage, but it does look like tricky conditions. Leonie Meyer,
she got some seaweed for sure.
So Leonie Meyer's losing the lead. What a disaster for the German rider. Meanwhile, Maya Ashkenazi tacks out. She's middle left of your screen, and it's Maya Ashkenazi, the young Israeli rider, that's leading the charge back towards the Eastney Beach side of the course. But what an unfortunate crash down for Leonie Meyer, still struggling to get up and running. The German rider now seeing the top 10 just sail past her as she's struggling to get re-established. And I see Nina Archic's yellow ozone tacking in about 10th place. I thought for a moment her kite was in trouble, but most are managing to keep their kites going okay.
It's going to be really tactics, the second upwind, I can tell you. Look at the angle, look at the wind. It's not easy to make the call for all of them.
And there's a lot of place changing going on. Maya Ashkenazi from Israel leading. She's back on to starboard tack, just crossing ahead of Maddie Anderson in second. And meanwhile, Ellie Aldridge, another Great Britain rider, has made moves up into third. And Alina Corneli out on the Eastney Beach side of the race course up into fourth. Alina from Austria being one of those that's fighting for the one European Olympic spot that's available at this event. Back in 19th, meanwhile, we had her in the studio earlier, Poema Newland, leading the regatta so far, wearing the yellow bib, but not enjoying the conditions on the racecourse at the moment.
No, yes, something happened for sure to Poema and a few others. They are really running on the back of the fleet, which is not normal. Maybe some bad luck on seaweed, or like we see with Leonie, start jumping with the board and then crash it.
But Leonie Meyer's managed to keep a place in the top 10. Yes, she's lost a few places, but Leonie Meyer is still in contention and doing well on the sea, on the further out to sea side of the course, the Isle of Wight side of the course. Meanwhile, it's Maya Ashkenazi who is coming up to her final tack of the race, coming up to the upwind mark for the second time round, and the Israeli rider manages to execute her tack. So that's another danger point successfully negotiated by Israel. But it looks like Leonie Meyer, despite that crash down early on when she was leading the race, it looks like Leonie Meyer is getting herself back into contention already. So if that is really the case, then this is an incredible recovery by the German rider. And I think that is Leonie Meyer that's just tacked there, just in front of Maya Ashkenazi. I can't quite believe my eyes, because Leonie Meyer's kite was collapsed for quite a long time, and somehow the German rider finds herself back in contention for the lead in this race. That is just phenomenal recovery by Germany.
Yeah. She went into the water and she cleaned the foil, maybe also mentally. Now my foil is clean.
Maybe she's the only one with a clean foil and everyone else has got a little bit of seaweed attached.
You got the point.
So now we have a great battle going on between Leonie Meyer back in the lead for Germany ahead of Maya Ashkenazi. And look at the gap between the front two and the rest of the pack coming up quickly on the windward mark now. We've got Maddie Anderson, Lily Young, Julia Damasovic, Gal Zuckerman, Ellie Aldridge, Isabella Satrian, Annalise Lammets, all in this pack, all fighting for third place. And you can see Annalise Lammett's blue bib just in the middle of our screen, just in that shot. And we've got the red kite of Gal Zuckerman doing very well in third place at the moment. So Zuckerman from Israel, but also doing extremely well in these conditions. We've got Israel now in second and third in this race. Leonie Meyer hanging on with the race lead. Will Meyer from Germany be able to keep it going all the way to the finish? Will she be able to keep that clean foil, seaweed free, and take her across the finish line for her first win of the day? Let's see.
Yes, we are in leg 4, so there is not a lot of space to play around unless they are not lucky to keep it clean. So they are jibing now, go toward to mark 4.
And Ashkenazi is keeping it very tight with Meyer, isn't she? I mean, they're both doing 27 knots of boat speed, incredible speeds through the water. And Ashkenazi breathing down the neck of Leonie Meyer. One mistake from either of these riders and the race victory will go to the other one. So it's a high pressure race all the way to the finish. A match race between Germany and Israel. And then there's the chasing pack behind, led by Gal Zuckerman, currently holding third place ahead of Great Britain's Maddie Anderson. Now the front two have completed their last jibe before they get round the leeward mark, but they've still got the 180-degree turn, the other jibe around the slalom mark, and it's Leonie Meyer somehow who crashed down earlier in the race and found a way to lead again. She won't be taking anything for granted because that seaweed could come and bite at any moment, but at the moment the German rider, mother of a young Levy, I think maybe the only mother in this Gold Fleet final, is leading this race right now ahead of Maya Ashkenazi. Here's the final driving maneuver for Leonie Meyer, taking it pretty easy, making sure that she gets it done cleanly, even if it's not the fastest maneuvers, because she's got a bit of a gap now on Maya Ashkenazi, and Leonie Meyer from Germany just seconds away from crossing the finish line. And it's going to be race 5 victory to Leonie Meyer from Germany. And she's going to have a very happy family back in Germany watching that race victory for Mummy. And then Maya Ashkenazi in second place for Israel. And it's going to be third place for Israel if Gal Zuckerman can hold off the chasing pack of Maddie Anderson and Lily Young of Great Britain and Annalise Lammerts. So really, really close race between the front two, won by Leonie Meyer, and a great race for the two Israeli riders, Maya Ashkenazi and Gal Zuckerman. Back to you shortly. Just 25 seconds to the start of the next race, and this time we're looking at the men, and someone's got to race 6 for the men, and the problem with the Kite on the left of screen, and not long for that rider to sort it out, because we're just coming in to the final 10 seconds before the start. And it was Riccardo Pianozzi who won the previous race, the Italian wearing the yellow bib. They're just about to swing the Kites down into the power zone and get launched. And we'll see who comes out strongly. Teo de Ramacourt, he wins the pin end of the line further out towards the Isle of Wight. So great start by the French rider. Lorenzo Boschetti third along from the pin. And a good start for Conor Bainbridge from Great Britain in the pack early on. We've got Brazil's Lucas Fonseca, USA's Marcus Edegren, and Israel's Dur Zaka going out to the right-hand side towards Eastney Beach. But the vast majority are coming out towards the left-hand side. And Mirko, it looks like good starts for Conor Bainbridge and Riccardo Pianozzi.
Yes, both of them, they are in the center of the fleet. They find the right spot, and to be clear, I must say that Conor was really in line, time distance wise, was a really great start, and we can see that he's in the center, keep control, no one close by, so that is really a good position for Conor, finally, I must say, he deserved it. And Lorenzo and Arthur Lee left, and Theodore Mercourt just leeward to him, so going quite fast, hitting close 22 knots upwind. That means that they have full power on the Kite. Let's see how the wind play during the, I mean, looking now, it seems that they have to tack.
And it looks like the breeze is up a little bit.
Yeah.
It looks like the breeze is slightly stronger, and Conor Bainbridge is one of the taller, bigger riders, so he's really going to be enjoying these full power conditions. And Bainbridge is doing almost 27 knots of boat speed upwind. So he's the fastest on the racetrack, and he looks like he's got a click of extra speed, even compared with Riccardo Pianozzi, our yellow bib wearer from Italy, who won the lighter wind race earlier in the day. But two really tall, big, well-built riders with Conor Bainbridge and Riccardo Pianozzi holding first and second in the early stages of this race 6 of Gold Fleet in the men at the Formula Kite European Championships in Portsmouth.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting how they are getting closer to the top mark, because again, the wind, like you said, it increased a little bit. There is some gust that they will squeeze all of them close to the ley line. Yeah, look how close they are.
So this is Riccardo Pianozzi on the left.
Tack. Yes, last tack.
Lorenzo Boschetti also looking to make the tack. So simultaneous tacks by the Italians. 2 more tacks by the riders behind them.
Conor
Bainbridge also in amongst the front runners.
Yeah, because Lorenzo is just behind. He couldn't get enough space to tack and, on the ley line, so he loses a couple of plays.
Good breeze now for the men coming down the downwind leg for the first time on this 2-lap race, and a really tight battle between Riccardo Pianozzi and Conor Bainbridge. At the moment, it's the Italian who has a marginal advantage over the British rider, with Greece's Cameron Maramonides in 3rd place in a tight battle with Max Zukowski from Poland.
Yeah, really good spot also for Tiger Tyson and Bruce Kessler, the Swiss, which they are now in 5 and 6 places, and Lorenzo just straight behind.
So this is an unusually tight race, and we've got some different names coming up to the front that you've just mentioned. We don't normally speak much about Bruce Kessler or Tiger Tyson in the front 5, but having a really fantastic race with in the close company of Lorenzo Boschetti. And meanwhile at the front, Riccardo Pianozzi with a marginal advantage on Conor Bainbridge from Great Britain. Pianozzi going almost 30 knots of speed down this downwind leg towards the bottom of the course.
Yeah, this is why maybe Conor just decided to jibe before and try to get more fresh air, deeper, and not stay just behind Riccardo.
And it's looking gustier now on the water. It looks like the breeze is picking up in strength, and will the riders that chose the 15 square meters start to come into their own? Riccardo Pianozzi, he stretched a bit of a gap on Conor Bainbridge. So Pianozzi was the fastest down on the downwind leg. The Italian beginning to stretch away. Could this be the second race win of the day for Pianozzi?
Now he's leading. Let's keep finger crossed for the Italian. Not because I'm Italian.
Of course
just
not,
deserve
Mirko.
it.
I know that you want the best rider to win wherever they're from.
Exactly. But Conor deserves to stay on that position as well. He's really tried to push the angle. You can see, try to keep the right angle as much as he can upwind.
He's got a higher angle than Riccardo, doesn't he? So,
yeah, that's the same spot where we see Leoni on the previous race eating some seaweed. So it might. You can see often he's splashing with white water on the under his board. Look,
oh,
did you
crash
see?
down. There was a momentary crash down there for Riccardo. I don't know how much that affected him, but I wonder if this is Conor Bainbridge's chance to take the lead.
It must be some seaweed attached to the mast, because it was looking from the drone shot. You can see white water coming behind him, which is not normal at all. And you can see also the speed is less than Conor.
So is it now that Pianozzi has a small bit of seaweed? Is that why he's not quite able to match the boat speed of Conor Bainbridge? There's not much to choose between them, but Bainbridge seems like he's got maybe a knot and a half extra speed. Or is it that Pianozzi has now come back good again? It still looks like Pianozzi is holding a marginal advantage. Maximilian Zukowski on the furthest left also coming into consideration. So Max Zukowski from Poland starting to take the fight to Conor Bainbridge. Next along from your left, and then bottom of our screen is Riccardo Pianozzi, who looks like he's back up to full strength again and going well, but possibly still the fastest on the water right now is Conor Bainbridge.
Yes, exactly. Conor looks really comfortable on that position, a little bit further in front to Riccardo, but Maximilian, it will be the first that hit the ley line. It will be the first one on starboard.
So that's Riccardo Pianozzi tacking. The other two have already completed their tacks, and look how close it is now between Max Zukowski and Conor Bainbridge, I think. It's...
No,
sorry, and Riccardo Pianozzi. So,
yeah. Pianozzi and Conor, they are in first and second.
Right.
Max just straight behind him.
So it looks like Pianozzi is marginally holding on to the lead, but Conor Bainbridge has really closed the gap, and Max Zukowski has made this a race of three now. Big gap back to the next one. That's Cameron Maromanides from Greece and Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy leading the next group. But this is now a three-way fight on the final downwind leg towards the bottom of the course before they go around that slalom mark and to the finish. Riccardo Pianozzi looks like he's got a little bit more depth. He's going a little bit closer towards the line of the next mark. So Pianozzi looking marginally faster than everybody else downwind.
Yes, and also you can see the angle. Try to stay always as deeper as he can.
It looks that way, doesn't it? He's just about 1 or 2 degrees deeper than Conor Bainbridge's angle. Max Zukowski has tacked off, jibed off. He's the rider in third place, so he's trying his luck on the far side of the course, seeing if he's got an alternative way to get past the front two.
It's a really interesting battle between Cameron and Max. Jibe to have a separation, and Lorenzo is struggling to overtake Cameron, which it seems is really fast on the downwind part.
So Cameron Maromanides having a great race for Greece right now. Back at the front, Conor Bainbridge, I think he had a slightly better jibe than Riccardo Pianozzi. He might have closed the gap, but Pianozzi is still holding on to the lead and is still looking fast on the final downwind leg.
Yes, he tried to keep the the inside to the last mark to jibe and go on the slalom one.
And Max Sikowski's decision to jibe off early doesn't look like it's working out for him. It looks like he's actually fallen back behind the front two, and he's in danger of being swallowed up by the riders behind. There you have it. It actually, from this angle, it looks like Sikowski is reasonably safe. But meanwhile, Pianozzi round the bottom mark for the final time, in the lead, just ahead of Conor Bainbridge. Still got the slalom maneuver to pull off in a few seconds' time for Pianozzi. So he's still... What are you seeing there, Mirko?
The 15K.
So he's chosen the 15?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it seems, looking on the screen.
No, it's
No,
23.
23. Okay, I was kidding.
You're trying to lead me astray. So Riccardo Pianozzi with his full-size 23 square meter. Wondering if how Conor's doing. There's a bit of a gap back, but Pianozzi crosses the line, and look at that leap of joy. And that's quite an extreme way of celebrating, Mirko. Is that a standard way to celebrate?
No, that's the way to clean the foil.
Okay.
There is some seaweed.
Well, that was a very exuberant celebration as Riccardo Pianozzi records his second win. But we're wondering if Conor Bainbridge still managed to hold on to second.
Yeah.
And then Maximilian Zakowski crossed in third, Lorenzo Boschetti in fourth, Teodor Ramico fifth, Tiger Tyson sixth. I think maybe Conor Bainbridge has fallen back to seventh. So something might have...
Because maybe he fell over the last...
We wonder, just before the... Conor crashed just before the slalom mark, possibly. I think that's what happened. So we lost sight of Conor. So just as things were going so well for him, it looks like he was lining up for second place, but we think that Conor Bainbridge from Great Britain slipped back to seventh just at the end of that race. So really unfortunate for the British rider, but for Riccardo Pianozzi, managed to avoid the banana skins and the yellow bib, the yellow bib wearer, the Italian who was leading coming into today, continues to extend his lead as he has a perfect score, 2 wins from 2 races so far today. Back to you shortly before we get to the next women's race. So, what a race we just saw with Riccardo Pianozzi winning that race. We thought it was going to be a battle all the way to the end with Conor Bainbridge, but then Bainbridge had a splashdown just before the slalom mark turning, and that put him back to 7th place. So drama right to the end. We've got a minute and a half to the start of the women's race. This is Gold Race 6, and the breeze is looking good. And it's a fantastic day here on Eastney Beach. Kids trying the Inspire program organised by the RYA to get local children and children from further afield, if you're coming to visit, getting a chance to get wet, play in the water, try some of the basics of kiting and some of the other sports that are available here. So really good program for kids and some great spectator activity here with the Formula Kite European Championships. And we've got just 40 seconds to the start. And who do you think is going to go well in these conditions this time round, Mirko?
I can tell you something else. We see a couple of them coming to the beach, and I guess that some of them, they switch to the 15. So it might be a really different kite size on the woman fleet. Let's see now, it's just a few seconds away to the starting. We will see who is gonna cross the line for first. Big pack close to the race committee.
And now they're off, and the kites swing down into the power zone, but someone has had an early splashdown on the left of our picture. We'll see if we can find out who that is, but there was a couple of casualties from that start who are going to really struggle to make a comeback after that. But it was a clear start. No one was over early, and a really good early lead for Maddie Anderson from Great Britain, leading out towards the left-hand side, the Isle of Wight side of the racecourse.
And good start also for Poema, and Alina Corneli just straight lever to her. So the 2-1 in the eye part of the screen.
So Poema Newland, who had a disastrous race just now, she was leading coming into the day. Oh, somebody else has
Madeleine Anderson, yeah.
Oh no, it's Maddie Anderson, top of your picture, who's had a splashdown. So she was the early leader, and now she is playing catch up and a long way back. She's out of the top 10. So it's Poema Newland, our yellow bib wearer, who takes up the lead for France. And she needs a good one because she's given up the overall lead to Great Britain's Ellie Aldridge. So this is important for Poema Newland to re-establish her authority on the fleet.
Yeah, it's a really bad start for Ellie. I guess that she had some trouble because when it was almost over the last minute, she was still close to the shore. I guess she had a couple of issue on it.
So at the moment, it's Poema Newland in the leader. Maya Ashkenazi also doing well from Israel. We saw Maya doing so well in the previous race. And Gal Zuckerman up in the running as well. So the Israelis going super well. We've had a message from the shore that Ellie Aldridge had a knot in her bridle. So she got out late, but she missed the start. So this is not a good start to the race for Ellie Aldridge. She's back in 21st place. Where will she be able to climb back to? Because Aldridge is so fast, and you can expect her to make inroads into the fleet, maybe even get back to the top 10. We'll have to wait and see. Poema Newland in the lead ahead of Maya Ashkenazi from Israel. Lily Young is the top Great British rider in third, and Leonie Meyer, who had a fantastic race just now, she's up in fourth. Gal Zuckerman and Annalise Lammertz, Julia Damasovic also up in the top 10. So a lot of the usual suspects, but the ones we're missing from Great Britain, Katie Dabson, Ellie Aldridge and Maddie Anderson. So it's Lily Young who's keeping things going for the strong Great British squad up at the front this time round. Frances Poema Newland going through attack, successfully completing it, and chased by Gal Zuckerman with the red kite.
And Maya Ashkenazi just also behind.
Maya Ashkenazi not far behind, and Israel having another good race. But look how busy it is. There's a lot of traffic coming up towards the top mark, and Poema Newland will be very pleased to be just ahead of the traffic jam.
It's gonna be interesting the beer away to lure to go on the downwind part. But okay, Poema, she's leading now. We can see the yellow bib.
And you can see that this water is getting a little bit rougher, so the conditions are changing. Successful rounding of the top mark first time round for Poema Newland. She's already got a bit of a lead on the next rider, and that's Annalise Lammertz from the Netherlands, followed by Great Britain's Lily Young and Italy's Sofia Tomasoni in fourth place ahead of Germany's Leonie Meyer.
Yes, really. But they are all close by. Look at that part of the fleet. There are like 10 competitors in maybe 50 meters.
Which is going to make life very difficult for them, and is going to make life easier for Poema Newland, because the traffic jam is going to tend to slow everybody down within that traffic jam. It's the opposite of Tour de France cycling. If you try and make a break on your own, the pack will catch you up, but it's almost the opposite in sailing, isn't it, Mirko?
No, exactly. No, you don't want to be in the middle of the pack because you are not free to make your own choice or tactics, because you can only follow all the fleet unless you find a spot to take your maneuver, rather a jibe or attack.
Poema Newland doing almost 30 knots of speed downwind, and she's got a really strong lead over the rest of the pack, and it's Maggie Ellen Piscotto who's now up into second ahead of Maddie Anderson. Maddie Anderson back in contention after that crash down. So an early jibe by Maddie Anderson. Looks like it might be... Oh, things are difficult out there. But so far, so good for Poema Newland.
Nina Archis and Eloise Pegore, they were the two.
Right, Nina Archis, Eloise Pegore, the ones that are suffering with their kites in the water. Look at that wide stance of Poema Newland on her board. A lot of pressure on the back leg. Poema Newland was telling me about this last night. She was going to have a 10-minute ice bath when she got back to her Airbnb because she needs to get those legs back into shape for the following day, and the ice bath, painful as it is the best way to achieve a fast recovery on legs that have been overworked throughout the day. And these 4 races, they may not last very long, 12 or 13 minutes each, but this is like doing a constant wall sit. It's really, it makes your legs burn. It's really, really hard work, isn't it, Mirko?
A lot, I can tell you. After 4 races, pushing a lot, you need for sure some recovery.
And up into second, leading the chasing pack now, it is Lily Young from Great Britain, who has got ahead of Anneloes Lammerts from the Netherlands, with Leonie Meyer of Germany in 4th.
Really well done, the downwind legs by Gisela and Alina, and just Sofia straight behind. Super close. But again, everything can happen, because look at we have 10 all, all on the same speed, on the same angle, so everything can change on the last upwind part. Just Poema extending the lead, clear air, clear wind. She can take the line that she wants. Really important.
Meanwhile, out on the far side, they're way back. Ellie Aldridge still back in 21st. Maya Ashkenazi going out to the right-hand side towards Eastney Beach, and Katie Dabson. Well, when you're that far back, you might as well try something different. But the British generally are not having a great race right now, with the exception of Lily Young, who is in second place behind Poema Newland. Poema Newland in control. Bottom left of your picture.
Yeah, right decision to tack and go to the other side, not keep all the full separation to the other side of the course. It's better to stay on the center to save the place.
So sailing defensively, because she's got the distance on the rest of the fleet to be able to sail in a conservative way, and Newland making up for lost ground after a poor first race earlier in the afternoon. Newland re-establishing her authority on the fleet, and this time it's our new series leader Ellie Aldridge who's having a terrible race, having got that knotted bridle on the beach, getting late out onto the water and late across the start line, trying to catch up, and now a marginal recovery for Ellie Aldridge, who's up into 17th place. But in the lead, Poema Newland of France ahead of Lily Young of Great Britain in second, and Anneloes Lammerts of the Netherlands in third, with Gal Zuckerman of Israel in 4th. Coming up towards the top mark for the final time, Poema Newland doing 22 knots of speed upwind. Phenomenally efficient, these craft. Beautiful image of the boards going up towards the top mark with the Isle of Wight in the background, sailing on these historic waters. This is where the America's Cup was first contested in 1851, and the Solent is the home of big boat racing and all forms of sailing competition. It's one of the most challenging places in the world to go racing in this stretch of water between the Isle of Wight and the mainland of the south coast of England. Poema Newland wearing the yellow bib because she was leading overall coming into today. Will she be leading overall, re-establish her overall lead if she can win this race? Telling the camera boat to move a little bit further away.
We understand that.
I don't think she was waving to say hello. Lily Young in second. Flying the flag for Great Britain and for the fans on the shore here at Eastney Beach in Portsmouth. And Germany's Leonie Meyer up into third ahead of Annalise Lammertz, who drops back to fourth. The Dutch rider and the German rider in a really tense, close battle for third and fourth place at the moment.
But again, amazing recovery by Leonie and Ellie.
Ellie Aldridge,
sixth
place. What a recovery. Just a couple of minutes ago, I was saying she'd made a marginal recovery to 17th place. Well, now she's up into 6th place. What an amazing comeback. And Maya Ashkenazi also some way back. So banging the right-hand side.
Exactly. They were straight back to the right side. And as you said, I mean, when you are almost close to last, what you can do, just play.
You might as well gamble.
Exactly.
So
which is pay off.
A calculated risk taken by Maya Ashkenazi and Ellie Aldridge, who have now launched themselves back up into the top 10, 5th and 6th place. They're not going to catch Poema Newland, though. I would eat my hat if they managed to do that. Poema Newland still with a comfortable lead. And Newland coming down towards the bottom of the course for the final time. But we have seen people fall over the handlebars at this point of the course. We saw Conor Bainbridge lose a 2nd place and fall back to 7th in the men's race just now. But Poema Newland does have a lot of ground to play with. She can afford to take her foot off the gas and take it easy if she thinks that makes life any easier to do that.
But I really can't believe it, Ellie Aldridge, how fast she is on the downwind.
That's phenomenal. So Ellie Aldridge doing almost 30 knots downwind, and she is closing the gap on Poema Newland. So an incredible recovery by Ellie Aldridge. Late off the beach after tangling her bridle and somehow finding a way through to the front pack again. So that is a rider with her bit between the teeth. Really wants to win a European title on home waters and sailing phenomenally well. Newland still with a good gap between herself and the next rider. It's now Leonie Meyer from Germany who moves up to 2nd ahead of Lily Young. So Leonie Meyer also with really fast downwind abilities. Meyer, winner of the previous race and looking like she might take a 2nd, but it's looking still close between Lily Young and Leonie Meyer. Ellie Aldridge now getting up into contention for 3rd place as well. So Aldridge just continuing to put the hammer down.
Look at the pack. They're rounding the 9
so
in
close.
line, so close.
With the exception of Poema Newland, who is about to cross the finish line and make amends for a poor first race of the day with a race win in the next. And then it's looking incredibly close for the next two. And I can't quite believe this, but it is a battle for 2nd and 3rd place between 2 British riders. It's Lily Young and Ellie Aldridge. And I don't think we're going to know the outcome of this until the very end of the race, until they've crossed the finish line. But I think Lily Young holds on for 2nd place ahead of Ellie Aldridge in 3rd. Can you believe?
Amazing.
Quite amazing. Right, back to you very shortly for the next men's race. Well, we've barely got time to reflect on that incredible women's race because we are 30 seconds away from the start for race Gold 7 for the men. So this time, who will be able to take the fight to Riccardo Pianozzi, the Italian, having won both races so far today, as they line up in the final 15 seconds before the start. Mirko, we saw the power of the right-hand side of the racecourse near Eastney Beach. That was the place where Ellie Aldridge really established her fantastic comeback. That will have not gone unnoticed by some of the men. About to start now. Off they go. Will it be a clear start? We'll find out shortly. And off the far end, it is a clear start. The fleet behaving well today. Cameron Maramonides with a really good start off the left-hand end of the line. The young Greek rider with a great start.
The one on port, we had 3 port behind the fleet. Sam Haben, Janice Maus and Valentin Bontus. They are the first that they go straight on port, getting the right side of the course. I guess that they were the one that looking on Ellie Aldridge performance before.
Well, Yanis Maus, he won races by doing port tack starts a couple of days ago in qualifying. He understood the power of the right-hand side of this race course in certain conditions. So Yanis is there, but he's being beaten by Valentin Bontus, who got an incredible start. And Riccardo Pianozzi is now, and Lorenzo Bescotti, the 2 Italians, have now made a tack onto the right-hand side. So I think people are cluing up that the Eastney Beach side of the racecourse is starting to get stronger. And it could be that it's a tidal change. It could be a change because of current.
It can be by the current. Close to the shore, it will help just to push them on the ley line close to shore. So
it could be that it is a current thing, and it could be that there is also an element of stronger breeze on the right-hand side. But whatever it is, it seems to be working in the early stages of this race for Valentin Bontus from Austria, the so-called class clown, the fun guy that everybody in this fleet loves, but he's proving to be a world-class rider as well, having finished 4th at the World Championships recently, and perfectly capable of winning races these days. So watch out for Valentin Bontus. Will he be the first rider to take a race win away from Riccardo Pianozzi, the Italian who's won both races so far today?
yes, exactly. You just spotted, and Valentin is super fast, and then when we see the wind is picking up, so for sure he has a big kite, really like and love to have a lot of power on his hand. He's a big guy. He's 100 kilo.
Yeah. There's a lot of Valentin to love. And,
yeah, exactly.
He is one of the most popular riders, and whenever he's winning races, there's always a big cheer from everybody who's watching on shore. He's everybody's favorite rider. So Valentin currently leading, but it could be that Conor Bainbridge is also coming back into contention as well. We've seen how fast Conor Bainbridge, the great British rider, is particularly on the upwind legs.
So yes, now they are really close, really close. We can see all the tacking on the ley line. So until they are not rounding the mark, it's gonna be difficult to see. But Conor and Valentin, they are leading. Now they are leading the fleet.
Yes, so Conor maybe has just got ahead of Valentin Bontus and might be leading. Bontus is forced to tack out again. He didn't like living in the bad air of...
Conor as well.
Yeah, so Conor and Valentin slightly underjudged the ley line. They've had to do a double tack. So already the match racing has begun between these two. But guys, there's another 23 boards in this race. So can you really afford to be engaged in a match race? There we have Bainbridge on the left and Bontus on the right. And it looks like they are going to get up to the windward mark in good shape this time. So there's a small gap for first and second, and a fascinating match race developing between Bainbridge just going around the top mark, followed by Valentin Bontus of Austria, and then really close in the next few. Marcus Edegran, USA, Dorzaka, Israel, Tiger Tyson, Antigua, Maxime Nossier, France, Zohar Haroubi from Israel. So, some really big names there, but where are Riccardo Pianozzi and Lorenzo Beschetti? They're back in the late teens, 18th and 19th. So, I don't know what's gone so badly wrong for the Italians, because they were going more or less the same way as Valentin Bontus, but they are nowhere to be seen.
I guess that they got stuck on the double tacking, that they had to to do on the ley line, and all the pack coming, and they just struggle to get space to cross the Mark 1, and Janice Mouse, which it was the first one on the right side of the course as well. I mean, one of the first.
He must have had a splashdown or something.
Yeah.
Janis Maus from Germany, he's way back in the 20s. And he was not that far off Valentin Bontus going out to the right-hand side after the start. So not sure what's happened to the Germans and the Italians, but really not going very well for them. And we got a different set of contenders up the front of the fleet this time. Is this Conor Bainbridge's opportunity as he leads this race to come back into contention for that Olympic spot that he's trying to get away from Janis Maus? It's a really tight battle on equal points coming into the start of the day between Bainbridge and Maus, Britain versus Germany, to win the one spot that's available to go to the Olympics from this event next year.
Now the wind is completely different, and it's windy all over the course now. But that's strange that sometimes you can see someone a little bit deeper compared to the other, maybe due to the different kite size, which we can't see, honestly.
So we're wondering if they're on 23 square meters or 15 square meters, and Mirko, looking at that wind, you'd think maybe you'd rather be on the smaller 15 now.
Yeah, if the wind is all over and is full power now, the 15 is the right kite. And then also it start to getting like more choppy as well. So for sure, like we said before, current and tide play the role now. Look how they are lined up.
It's looking really busy behind the front too. Conor Bainbridge marginally holding on to the lead ahead of Valentin Bontus, but the Austrian is keeping the battle for first place really tight, and it's a really good inside rounding by Bontus.
Tiger Tyson is second, just behind Conor. He did an amazing downwind.
Oh, so it might be Tiger Tyson in second. Okay,
Yeah.
so incredible. The Antiguan sailing super well, also looking to qualify his nation to go to the Olympic Games, but not at this event. This is a European-only qualifier, so Tiger Tyson's opportunity will come at the Pan Am Games a little bit later on this year. So Conor Bainbridge, the tall Briton, up against the slightly smaller Antiguan Tiger Tyson, but Tyson really taking the battle to Bainbridge, and Valentin Bontus, who was in second and actually leading the race early on, he's back in fifth. So it now goes Bainbridge, Tyson, Maxime Nochet from France, Theo de Ramacor from France, Martin Dolenc from Croatia, and Valentin Bontus back to sixth. Bontus has bounced out to the right-hand side near Eastney Beach. He has liked the right-hand side of the race course, but we'll have to see if it works out, because the angles don't look particularly good on that side of the race course. Conor Bainbridge still looking pretty strong. He's the bottom of your screen as you see it now, being chased by Tiger Tyson and Maxime Nochet and Theo de Ramacor from France. So now that Tiger Tyson and the French riders have tacked, Conor Bainbridge also tacks. And the British rider has successfully completed his tack and holds a marginal lead as he gets the board back up to full speed, and now doing almost 24 knots of speed upwind. We're on race 7 of the Gold Fleet. Today's racing is all about getting into the final 10. Whoever makes the top 10 overall this afternoon will continue the battle tomorrow in the medal series. And the way the medal series is designed, as long as you get into the top 10, you still have a chance, a real chance of winning the overall title. But the way the points are stacked up, it still favors you to do as well as you can. And if you wear the yellow bib going into the final day, you get an automatic bye through to the 4-rider final. And the same is true if you wear the blue bib. You also go straight through to the final, whereas the rest of the top 10, from 3rd down to 10th place, will have to do battle in the semi-finals to earn one of the final 2 spots in the 4-rider final.
they are still really close, and every single tack on the upwind leg, you can see a lot of changing position. That means that also looking on tracking, they are really close, and you know, you never know until you cross the finish line on these races, unless just Connor is little bit on the front, but Tiger and Martin Dolenc and Maxime are not really far away from him. And you can see Martin Dolenc is just leeward to him, straight behind. So the top four, they are close by, and really super performance until now for Bernal Cortés, the Spanish as well. Oh, Tiger.
Keeps on changing, doesn't it? Everything keeps on changing behind Conor Bainbridge. So
yeah.
Conor manages to hold on to the lead, but the new threat of Tiger Tyson has now dropped back to fourth, and closest to Conor Bainbridge, Maxime Nochet from France and Martin Dolenc from Croatia, followed by Tiger Tyson, followed by Valentin Bontus, and then USA's Marcus Edegran. So Conor Bainbridge still with a 2 or 3 second advantage over Martin Dolenc and Maxime Nochet. Early jibe by some of the riders just at the back of the top 10, trying something different. Might as well try something different if you think that there is better breeze on that side, or if you just want to create separation. Conor Bainbridge with his backward leading stance. Remember, there's quite a lot of seaweed in this water, so they've changed the way that they stand on the board for racing in Portsmouth, sailing a little bit more board bow up. Conor Bainbridge safely through the jibe, holding on to the lead, with Martin Dolenc in second and Maxime Nochet in third. Valentin Bontus up to fourth, just ahead of Tiger Tyson in fifth. Still no Italians that we're talking about in the top 10. Pianozzi and Boschetti, well, they're making moves, but they're in 11th and 12th. Boschetti in 11th and Pianozzi in 12th. So we saw Ellie Aldridge make that incredible comeback in the women's race to get back up to third place, but the Italians are just not able to make the kind of inroads. I think it was Riccardo Pianozzi that was one of the early jibers. So you see Pianozzi on the right, but meanwhile at the front, at the bottom of your screen, Conor Bainbridge doing almost 30 knots of speed downwind. Martin Dolenc just ahead of Maxime Nochet. Both of them doing in excess of 30 knots downwind. Super high speeds, and they could be going even faster if it was not for the hidden danger of seaweed that could trip them up at any moment. And the waves are beginning to get a little bit lumpier as the tide changes. So the race course is getting a bit bumpier than it was compared with the very flat water that we saw earlier on in the day. And Pianozzi, who won both races earlier, he's in 12th place right now as Conor Bainbridge goes round the bottom mark for the final time. He goes towards the slalom mark, and then it's a 180-degree turn. And this is psychologically going to be important for Conor Bainbridge, as well as important for the scoreboard. We'll be interested to see where this puts Conor Bainbridge, particularly in relation to Yannis Maus, who's not been having a good race. The battle for the Olympic spot between Bainbridge and Maus is one that we're watching closely. Maxime Nochet marginally ahead of Martin Dolenc in the battle for second and up into fourth place. I'm not sure who that is. It's Tiger Tyson and Valentin Bontus fighting for fourth and fifth place.
Well done for Conor.
Conor has successfully crossed the finish line. A race win for Conor Bainbridge. First of the day, first that Riccardo Pianozzi hasn't won. Pianozzi still outside of the top 10. In second place, Maxime Nochet from France. Great finish for him. In third place, Martin Dolenc from Croatia. Antigua's Tiger Tyson in fourth. USA's Marcus Edegran in fifth. And in sixth, Valentin Bontus of Austria, the early leader of that race, but dropping back, and in 7th place is Bernard Cortez. So a quick break and we'll be back to you soon. In fact, no, it looks like we are going straight to the start of the next race, and it's going to be Gold Fleet race 7 for the women. Just about to get started, and a bit of a splashdown for one of the riders. That was Sofia Tomasoni from Italy, having a bit of a slow start there as she struggled to get her board up to speed. Maddie Anderson, she does like the left-hand end of the line. She wins the left-hand end. We saw her leading the race early on just a few minutes ago before she had a bit of a splashdown. But Maddie Anderson, very good at picking those pin end starts, and a good early lead for Maddie Anderson, but also a good start out of the middle of the line for Poema Newland of France.
And Ellie as well is in the front line, just leave her to Poema.
So Ellie Aldridge, we saw that she can come back from nearly last, from starting late across the line to getting up into 3rd place, even when she's almost a minute late for the start. So what will Ellie Aldridge be able to do now that she's got a great start out of the middle of the line?
Really good, I must say, really good start for Gal Zuckerman and Isabella Satrian. They are all on the right side, so I guess that they will be the first one that they're going to attack. But you can see now, compared to before, they continue a little bit more to the on starboard, on the left side, but I'm pretty sure that soon we will start to see tacking and going to the other side of the course. The wind
is shifting, isn't it? So I don't know how much they can tell what phase of the wind shifts they're in, but we are at times we're seeing the right hand side pay,
and then boom, 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 everyone will tack.
So Isabella Satrian, the first boat to tack to the right hand side, and looking good for Satrian. And Maya Ashkenazi already on the right hand side. Ashkenazi, the Israeli rider, really likes the right hand side of this course. We almost always see Ashkenazi out near the Eastney Beach side of the race course. Lily Young doing well. She's in the middle of the pack, so the British rider Lily Young, who's been sailing very consistently, nearly always is consistent. Doesn't win that many races, but is always in the front few. Well, Lily Young is currently leading this race right now. Gal Zuckerman from Israel also going well. And Ellie Aldridge in contention. More to the Isle of Wight side of the race course, along with Heloise Figuri and Maddie Anderson, who had such a good start and is not quite leading, but she's still in the front few right now. So Lily Young with a small lead on Isabella Satrian. Gal Zuckerman doing well on the left-hand side of the course. And Ellie Aldridge in amongst the front few as well.
Lillian, the first one to tack, but look,
looking really busy.
Really busy. The ley line is gonna be super busy on the rounding mark. Just Lily Young.
Lily Young with the red bib, with that determined stance, leaning forward with her leading shoulder, looking very strong. Great Britain leading around Mark 1. Bit of a gap back to the next one, and it's Ellie Aldridge, also from Great Britain. So Great Britain 1-2 so far. And then it's Switzerland's Elena Lengweiler in third. Then Israel's Gal Zuckerman, Poland's Isabella Satrian, and then Poema Newland of France, the yellow bib wearer, our series leader coming into today. Lily Young looking fast and strong on the downwind leg.
But now it's pretty clear that the wind picked it up everywhere, and they're just following all each other. Try not to make any mistake and go for the maximum speed.
And they're doing about 28 knots of speed downwind. Lily Young marginally ahead of Ellie Aldridge. Ellie Aldridge with a slightly deeper angle, but Lily Young looking very fast and in control at the bottom of your screen, wearing the red bib. Ellie Aldridge, the first of the front runners to go for a jibe. How much longer will Lily Young wait before she decides to jibe as well? Elena Lengweiler from Switzerland in third place. Really good score for her so far. Not sure what's happened to Isabella Satrian. I think Satrian has had a bit of a splashdown. You see that collapsing kite in the middle of the screen. So Satrian looking like she might lose her fifth spot. Gal Zuckerman with the red kite looking dangerous, looking like she's closing in on Ellie Aldridge and Elena Langweiler.
But on the bottom of the screen, we see always Lily Young leading.
Lily Young looking like she's stretched away from the rest of the pack, although Ellie Aldridge, yeah, could still be a threat on.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Close between the front two, and these are the top two in the overall standings. So this is also a battle for the overall lead of the regatta. Ellie Aldridge got the silver medal at the Worlds recently behind Francis Lorian Nolot, who is absent from Portsmouth. So Ellie Aldridge was silver, Lily Young was bronze, but at the moment it's the bronze medalist who's marginally ahead, but it's getting close between these two. What do you think is happening, Mirko?
Lily is in front. Or Ellie. I can't see the color of the bibs. One of the two. Or Ellie or Lily there. No, I think it's Ellie.
Ellie
in front. Yeah.
I think Ellie has managed to get round the outside of Lily Young. So Aldridge has turned tables, and now it's the world silver medalist ahead of the world bronze medalist, and behind them Elena Lengweiler of Switzerland, Gal Zuckerman of Israel, and Poema Newland with fifth place at the moment, and the fastest on the downwind leg with 31.5 knots of speed. So
speed, yeah.
So Newland really, really fast on the downwind leg.
Yeah, for sure she managed to have the fastest speed on the downwind. I mean, she got like 3 positions in front because she ran like 7 or 8, which is really important. But again, it's going to be really important this second part on leg 3. Because it's quite tactics, but again we see competitors stay more to the left side, so they see some kind of change on direction.
Ellie Aldridge and Lily Young, along with Elena Lengweiler, have all completed their tacks on to port. Ellie Aldridge managed to pull off a tack across the front of Lily Young, and it was a well executed tack, and it puts Ellie Aldridge in a strong position tactically. It's going to be hard for Lily Young to overtake Aldridge the way that they stand at the moment, but we'll see. We know how quickly things can change with kiting. Just one piece of seaweed can ruin your race.
Also Gisela now, she's on the top 10. She's
Gisela
seven
from Spain,
yeah,
in 7th place at the moment. So Aldridge and Young first and second, Lengweiler from Switzerland in third, Newland in fourth, Gal Zuckerman in fifth from Israel, Alexia Fancelli in 6th place. And just to remind you, there's also a battle going on for an Olympic spot between Austria, Poland and Spain. And we're not having much to say about anything of Elena Corneli. None of them are in the top 10 in this race. Elena Corneli is in 11th, And then the other two, well, Gisela Pulido, we have spoken about. She's in about 7th or 8th. And then Julia Tomasevich from Poland back in 18th. So at the moment, things going quite well for Pulido. And maybe Pulido's chance to close the gap and move into top contending position for that one Olympic spot in the women's fleet.
Yes, it seems that Alina and Gisela, they score a couple of good races. Not really a good day for the Polish, I must say, until now. But you never know. They still have another race then.
And as things stand, if Gisela Pulido would hold on to 6th place, that would move her a few points ahead of Alina Corneli in the overall race for that Olympic spot. So this is a really important moment for Gisela Pulido. Meanwhile, leading the race, it's Ellie Aldridge, who's stretched a bit of distance on Lily Young in 2nd, and Poema Newland is now up into 3rd, and we know how fast Newland is on the downwind legs. So will Lily Young be able to keep Poema Newland behind her? Because we're now looking at the top 3 overall, and the overall standings now in the top 3 in this race.
Yeah, Poema, she will get out her maximum speed on the downwind. She knows that she can be one of the faster on the downwind. And now she's catching on front Lily Young, just straight behind, try to overtake and go a little bit higher. We can see that she tried to stay a little bit higher, windward to her, and maybe do an early jibe. Exactly, just see that and stay windward to Lily Young. Well performed also the jibe from Lily, but Ellie, she's always leading in the front for the last jibe on the right side of the course. But something happened. I mean, Poema, she's really, really fast. Always over 30 knots on the downwind.
So Poema Newland just
moved to 2nd.
The fastest downwind. Will she be able to close the gap anymore on Ellie Aldridge? Aldridge is one of the fastest downwind as well, so it's hard to imagine that Newland could really be much of a threat to Aldridge. But as I keep on saying, things can change very quickly in kite foiling racing. One little splashdown and you can be swallowed up by the boats, the boards coming behind you. So there's the jibe complete for Ellie Aldridge, coming towards the bottom mark for the final time. Newland just stretching distance on Lily Young, now back in 3rd. So Newland really enjoying these conditions. Aldridge safely around the bottom mark. Newland now going around the bottom mark. Aldridge racing towards the slalom turning mark, and it's the 180 turn coming up. The last really tricky maneuver of this race course. Here comes the slalom jibe for Ellie Aldridge, and Poema Newland is closing the gap. Poema Newland putting the hammer down, and it's just a matter of 4 or 5 seconds between them now. But the time is running out for Newland to make her move on the lead. It's going to be a race win for Ellie Aldridge of Great Britain, and a great race also for Poema Newland, coming 2nd and really showing that she has the legs downwind on pretty much anybody else in the fleet. And then Lily Young coming across in 3rd. So we're not far off the start for the men. We're on a really fast turnaround of races. So congratulations to Ellie Aldridge winning that race. But we are now going to switch over towards the men's race in pretty short order. And we've seen Riccardo Pianozzi win 2 races so far today, and we've seen Connor Bainbridge win a race. So whose turn is it going to be this time round?
Oh, any minute we have should be really close because they are all.
I think maybe we're 25 seconds off the start, something like that.
Yeah, I think so, because they are really close and all line up toward to the starting line. 15 seconds to go.
So coming into the final 5 seconds. We've had clear starts so far today. Will this be another clear start? Looks like it could be. Another clear start. Really, really accurate starting by the men's and the women's fleets today. And who's doing well in the early stages?
No, we had really curious to see Valentin Bontus, Yanis Maus and Theodor Amecourt. They were just behind the fleet in port as
So
they want to get the right side of the course.
Yanis Maus loves the port tack starts, and it seems like Valentin Bontus is quite a fan as well. So they're coming in the first group towards Eastney Beach. It's good starts for Conor Bainbridge, Theodor Ramacourt and Sam Aben from the Netherlands, and Maxime Nochet, who did very well in the previous race. So it looks like some of the usual suspects are up there. What about the Italians?
On the middle, just leave to Maxime.
Okay, so the Italians doing okay, but they're not quite in the front pack at the moment.
Not yet.
Not yet. We'll wait and see. They struggled to make much ground in the previous race.
Yeah, maybe I'm really curious to see some images if we can spot some kite size.
They've got to be on the 15s now,
yeah,
don't they?
I
Do you think?
so. I think so. But who knows? They are crazy sometime, and they decided to stay full on the 23.
Conor Bainbridge doing well early on. Theodor Ramacourt, the 2021 world champion, also up in the running. And Valentin Bontus, who went out to the right-hand side towards Eastney Beach, and Yanis Maus, another one who likes the Eastney Beach side of the racecourse, in third and fourth in the early stages of this race. Now remember, this is the last race of Goldfleet today, and it's all about who gets into the top 10. So Valentin Bontus is just outside the top 10. He's about 5 points off the top 10. So this is really critical for Bontus to hold on to a good top 10 position. If it's a top 5, which it is at the moment, that should be enough to get Bontus up into the top 10. But it's really, really tight on the points at the moment for Bontus. And the other battle I'll remind you about is the one between Yanis Maus and Conor Bainbridge, because those two, the British and the German, are fighting it out for the one Olympic spot that's available.
How crowded it is. How crowded it is. A lot of things change, and Ricardo now is leading with the yellow bib. We can see close to the Mark 1, and Theo just behind, and Valentin Bontus on third.
Right, so it's yellow bib goes round first. That's Riccardo Pianozzi. I think blue bib is pretty close behind.
Lorenzo Boschetti behind.
So Italians back up in first and second, as we've seen them in previous races. And Conor Bainbridge in third. Valentin Bontus also in amongst the front few, and Valentin Bontus from Austria needs to hold on to a good score if he's going to make his way into tomorrow's medal series and get a spot in the top 10.
Yes, really amazing how Ricky is just trying to keep the pace really high on the downwind.
Doing in excess of 30 knots of wind, 30 knots of speed downwind. Really, really fast speeds right now, and Pianozzi has a little bit of a gap on the rest. Lorenzo Boschetti has a fight on his hands with France's Theodor Ramacourt and Great Britain's Conor Bainbridge. Valentin Bontus, one of the first of the front pack to jibe out. Riccardo Pianozzi also going for a jibe. Beautiful conditions here on the Solent this afternoon. Finally, the breeze has come good. We had that brief delay, but the flags are starting to blow pretty hard here on Eastney Beach now. And Mirko, you've been speculating about kite size. This probably is 15 square meter weather now, if you haven't already changed, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they changed it because we have not less than 15 knots, so between 14 to 17 with the gas is completely a 15 meter condition.
White horses starting to appear.
Hoopla. Ricky first, Lorenzo, Connor, Theo, and Tiger Tyson, surprisingly. It's really doing a really great job also on the previous race, on the top 5.
Yes, Tiger really coming on strong and looking to book a place at the Olympic Games for the island of Antigua. Round the bottom markets, Riccardo Pianozzi in first, followed by his teammate Italian Lorenzo Boschetti, and then in third place Tiger Tyson, and a very close battle for 4th and 5th between Theo de Ramacourt and Conor Bainbridge. In 6th place, Florian Gruber, a German rider, and then Max Zukowski from Poland also up there, and Yanis Maus, that battle for Olympic contention. He's in about 9th or 10th place at the moment. Pianozzi looking solid at the bottom of your screen ahead of Lorenzo Boschetti. The Italians with a bit of a gap on the rest of the fleet. Theo de Ramacourt tacking out early to the right-hand side. The Frenchman looking for something better on the Eastney Beach side of the racecourse.
Yeah, Theo decided to go to the other side. I guess that also the 2 Italian, they will play safe and tack to the center right side. Doesn't make any sense to take the risk to go so far.
No, I'm surprised they've gone as far as they have, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And Connor also tack. Hopefully they're not doing any match race between them, which doesn't make any sense.
I think Riccardo has said enough. We've got to tack Lorenzo. And
yeah, exactly.
Finally, Lorenzo says, okay, yeah, maybe we should. But yeah, they've really exposed themselves on that side of the race course. I think they're still going to be leading, but they're very close to that ley line, and they haven't given themselves really any alternative options if the wind were to change.
No, I mean, they must really be confident on what they're doing, because they were really close to the hedge. And also, did you see the tack? It was really close by.
It looks like Boschetti might have the legs on Pianozzi right now. I just wonder if Boschetti is a little bit faster.
Yeah, because from leeward is pushing more, and getting little different angle. We have to remember that it's going to be really important to have the tack then at the ley line on the close to the mark one.
So the Italians are looking good on that side. It looks like, having held that long on starboard and being on the left-hand line line, it's not going too badly for them.
No. No, but it was quite risky.
It is risky, isn't it? When you're leading, you tend to, when you see the other boards tack, you want to tack with them and protect any attacks from behind you. But the Italians have put a lot of faith in going to the left-hand side, and it seems like it's working, and it seems like there's a bit of a match race developing between the 2 Italians right now.
And how crowded it is, the fleet coming from, went to the right side, and they are all in port on starboard.
Led by Theo de Ramacourt. Theo de Ramacourt, the best of the rest on the right-hand side of the race course with that black kite. Simultaneous tacks by Pianozzi and Boschetti. There's nothing to choose between the front 2.
Together. Wow, great. Please don't make a mistake.
Boschetti trying to get the better of Pianozzi, but Pianozzi's got a lower line, a deeper line, and Boschetti can't seem to match Pianozzi for depth. So Boschetti, from being right on the tail of Pianozzi, it looks like Pianozzi is in the stronger position, and Pianozzi can really decide when he wants to jibe.
Maximum speed for Lorenzo, 34.2.
34.2 maximum speed. Phenomenal pace on this downwind leg, but still really, really close between the Italians, with Teo de Ramacourt holding third place for France and Conor Bainbridge in fourth. Just less than 10 meters the distance between Pianozzi and Boschetti right now. Nothing to choose between them. Here comes the jibe. That's Pianozzi jibing, and now let's see if Boschetti will do it as well. So Boschetti has jibed as well a little bit later, but this could be a tactical advantage for Boschetti on the next jibe. It so much depends on how well they judge their final lay line down to the bottom of the race course. De Ramacourt from France in third, Bainbridge from Great Britain in fourth, Bontus from Austria in fifth. That's important for Bontus.
Yes.
Bontus has to hold on to a top 10, and then the Austrian should have done enough to just about squeak in to the top 10 for the medal series. Well, we'll see the top 10 racing tomorrow. And if you heard that hooter in the background, that's for the Silver Fleet. We're not paying so much attention to the Silver Fleet, but that racing is also going on around us as well. The battle between the Italians is going on all the way to the bottom of the race course. No margin for error, just 5 meters the gap between the two of them right now. Boschetti, he might just have the edge on Pianozzi.
Let's see, because one is a little bit higher, and
it looks like maybe Pianozzi still has the edge.
yeah, Pianozzi is on the
left-hand side.
Is in front.
So Pianozzi swinging the kite up into the air, followed by Boschetti around the slalom mark. Pianozzi holding the marginal advantage. The 20-year-old just ahead of his 18-year-old. 18, okay. And so the 18-year-old Riccardo Pianozzi crosses the finish line, punches the air as well. He deserves to. He's won 3 out of 4 races today. He maintains the yellow bib. He goes straight through to the 4-rider final tomorrow afternoon. And I think Boschetti has done enough to book his spot. So
I think so.
First and second in the qualifying and the Gold Fleet finals. That means that Italy has 2 riders in the 4-rider final tomorrow afternoon, and they also carry a points advantage in. That means that it's down to Conor Bainbridge, Martin Dolench, and the rest of the top 10 to battle it out in the semi-finals tomorrow afternoon. And Valentin Bontus, he was 7th across the line. I think that means that the Austrian will have just about booked his spot in the final 10. And Conor Bainbridge keeps his battle alive with a 5th place behind Maxime Nochet and Teo de Ramacourt. So the battle between Conor Bainbridge and Yannis Maus is still very much ongoing for that Olympic spot, to see if Britain or Germany can book the nation spot to go to the Paris 2024 Games. We've got about 2.5 minutes to the start of our final race this afternoon. That will be race 8 for the Gold Fleet women. And same rules apply. If you go through in first or second from the Gold Fleet, then you book your spot in the 4-rider final tomorrow afternoon. And then it's up to the rest to make sure that they're in the top 10, and the positions 3rd to 10th divide out into 2 4-rider semi-finals tomorrow afternoon. 1 minute 30.
At the RYA, we live to bring more people onto the water, to make them and you feel confident, inspired, and welcome in our amazing community. We'll help you learn and gain the skills you need, and we're here for you wherever you are on your journey. We're ready. The water's open, so let's go together. RYA, together.
Okay, 1 minute.
1 minute to the start. .45 seconds, and now we'll see who will come out on top this time round. We've seen amazing performances by Ellie Aldridge and Poema Newland. 30 seconds to the start.
I think we're gonna have some port starter. Maddie Anderson and Alexia Fancelli, they are close to the pin, just 10 seconds away, so I guess they're gonna go all the way below the fleet and get in the right side of the course.
And it's start time. They swing their kites down into the power zone. Has Maddie Anderson managed to book her usual spot? What have you seen, Mirko?
No one. It was a clear start, so really on the edge. Great. I guess it was Gal Zuckerman with the red kite.
Yeah, Gal Zuckerman with the red gin kite, always very distinctive on the race course.
Alexia went straight to the right side of the course on port. And Maya Skenazi also tacked to the right side of the course. But Gal and Lily Young, they are going port all the way up on starboard. So almost the same tactics of the boys on the previous race.
This is an important position for Gal Zuckerman on the right-hand side of the course. Zuckerman is just outside the top 10 at the moment, and she's on equal points with 10th placed Leonie Meyer. So Zuckerman needs to get a good score here, and she will book her place in the medal series. That's Zuckerman going into attack. And the Israelis, both Zuckerman and Ashkenazi, have really liked the right-hand side of this race course for most of the day. And Zuckerman was tacking where she wanted to. She wasn't forced to tack away. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for Gal Zuckerman. Two more riders tacking out to the right-hand side. Leonie Meyer, well, she is also doing well in this race, and she is on the cusp of the top 10. She currently holds 10th overall, so really close between her and the two Israeli riders to see who can manage to stay in the top 10.
But Poema, Gisela and Leonie, they're quite on the top. Obviously, we have to wait for the rounding mark, but they are on the higher part of the course. Gonna be really important for Gisela and Poema. I mean, Poema, she will end up on the top two, directly on the grand final.
If Poema can get into the top two, that means the French rider will book a place in the final.
It's gonna be really important. 4 to 5 point. I didn't spot it well to Lily Young. Lily Young now she's running on 14, so Alexia just went on starboard, and Maya Skenazi, they need to tack again and go to the other side because they're switching. Get the shift of the wind.
Gal Zuckerman on the left of your screen, still in the front bunch, but quite a few ahead of her now, so this is critical for her, and it's not good news for Gal Zuckerman that Leonie Meyer is also doing very well at the front of the fleet. That's the battle to try and stay in the top 10. Alexia Fancelli going extremely well, the French rider up in the front few, and Poema Newland also up there. So I think that's Fancelli going around in first place, really good for her. Poema Newland round in second, Leonie in third, Eloise Pigorier in fourth place.
Ellie. Or whatever, but I mean, they are all close by, yeah. So Ellie, Gisela, Maya, Eloise.
So Ellie Aldridge in fourth, Gisela Pulido in fifth, Maya Ashkenazi in sixth. Fancelli, this is a fantastic performance for her. So will the French try to be able to stay ahead of Postponement Newland, who has been winning races this week? Fancelli, well, she's got a lot on her plate because Postponement Newland often looks to be the fastest rider downwind. So it might be a matter of how long she can hold on before Newland overtakes her.
And I guess also that Poema, she will do everything that she can to score first, because she have to beat Lily Young to get the top two.
Yes, absolutely critical. Such a big difference between finishing second and third in Gold Fleet. Second means that you go through with the yellow bib wearer straight through to the final. If you finish third, it means you have to submit yourself to the semi-final process, and so there's an extra hurdle to get past.
So Poema again, she's proving that she's the fastest on the downwind, and we have to wait until the jibe and rounding the mark, the bottom mark. But Alexia and Poema, they're really close by.
So the battle of the two French at the front, with Ellie Aldridge in third and Leonie Meyer in fourth. Maya Ashkenazi of Israel in fifth and Lily Young of Great Britain in sixth.
Okay, so Poema, she's jibing.
And simultaneous jibes by Poema, Ellie Aldridge and Alexia Fancelli. Really close around this bottom mark, and a splash down and another splash
For Ellie.
for Ellie Aldridge. Ellie Aldridge managing to hold on, and actually, despite those crash downs, might actually be in the lead. So could be that Great Britain has moved ahead of the two French riders, despite a bit of a shaky rounding by Ellie Aldridge. We saw how fast Ellie Aldridge can be in catch-up mode earlier on in the day when she caught up to third from pretty much last.
Yeah.
And a really good tight rounding, but not without getting wet.
Yeah, she tried to do the mark rounding as close as possible to the mark, which is also a risky maneuver.
So Alexia Fancelli has tacked out to the right-hand side. Now we have a match race between Ellie Aldridge and Poema Newland, the two front runners, two arch rivals, so often find themselves racing against each other around the world, and here they are side by side, both race winners. Well, which of these two is going to win the race this time if it's not one of the ones on the far side, such as Alexia Fancelli or Maya Ashkenazi? Ellie Aldridge, I would say, has the marginal tactical advantage, being the left hand of the two as we see them. Is that how you'd see it, Mirko? Would you rather be in Ellie's position?
No, that's you can see the wind is shifting a little bit to the right, so I better for them to start thinking on tacking to the other side, because also leaving Alexia Fancelli all the way to the other side together with Maya Ashkenazi also is risky, a lot of separation.
Well, we saw this with the Italian men in the previous race, didn't we? They had every opportunity to tack over earlier, but they went all the way to the ley line. It looks like the French and British riders are going to do the same this time. There at last is the tack from Ellie Aldridge. Poema Newland immediately responds with her tack, and that's how things look from the bird's eye view. So will Alexia Fancelli on the right-hand side or Maya Ashkenazi be able to overtake Aldridge and Newland? But I think they're on quite a good shift on this side of the course, on the Isle of Wight side of the race course.
Yes, exactly. And it pay well for Ellie and Poema to stay more on the center of the course compared to be close to shore on Eastney Beach. They had to tack again Alexia and Maya to get the proper ley line, so that's it's not really good. So they're gonna lose a lot of position due to that.
And Newland wasn't able to maintain her line compared with Aldridge, so she's not even trying to do that now. Newland has gone down to leeward of Aldridge. She seems to be lower and faster, so Aldridge sticking with her high line, letting Newland go out to leeward of her, but that puts Aldridge in a strong position for the next tack. And actually, for the front two, for Aldridge and Newland, it looks pretty comfortable on it. It looks like Julia Damasovic, actually. So Damasovic from Poland could be up into third place. But a big lead for the first two. And at the moment, it's Aldridge with the edge over Newland.
And then from the 9th place, Lily Young got a really amazing second upwind leg, getting 5 spot.
Right, so very good sailing by Lily Young. And Leonie Meyer is in 6th place. She's ahead of Gal Zuckerman, so it looks like Germany's Leonie Meyer will do enough to maintain her position in the top 10. And Gal Zuckerman has fallen out of the top 10, so I think that means Israel may struggle to be represented in the medal series tomorrow when we see the top 10 competing tomorrow. We've said a lot about Maya Ashkenazi today. We've said a little bit about Gal Zuckerman, so they've definitely been in contention. Yeah, I think Leonie Meyer is going to come out ahead of those two.
Yeah, we had 9 and 11 after race 7. We had Maya 9 and Gal Zuckerman on the 11. So we have to wait until the end.
Yeah. So the points are pretty close. As for the battle for the front, Ellie Aldridge marginally ahead of Poema Newland. We keep on talking about the speed of Poema Newland, and she's doing almost 2 knots faster downwind as we speak. But it actually doesn't seem to be making much inroads on Aldridge. Aldridge still looking comfortable. So Great Britain's Ellie Aldridge.
I hope that she's...
No, I think Poema Newland is still in contention.
Okay.
I think. We're trying to work out if Poema Newland is still okay on the race course, but it does seem like Aldridge is quite a long way ahead of the next boards now. So, yeah, so Poema Newland did have a crash down. So Poema Newland has dropped back to about 7th place maybe. So Aldridge has a big lead over Julia Damasovic, who is now in 2nd place. The Polish rider who we've barely spoken about in this race has had a phenomenal climb through the fleet. But this race, barring disaster around the final drive mark, is going to be Ellie Aldridge's, and it's going to put Ellie Aldridge in the overall lead as well, which means that she'll be wearing the yellow bib going into the 4-rider final tomorrow afternoon. And that puts Ellie Aldridge in a very strong position to secure her first ever European title in Formula Kite competition. But first things first, she's got around the jibe mark, and now Aldridge is just 100 meters away from crossing the finish line and winning race 8, Gold Fleet 8, very comfortably indeed. Didn't put a foot wrong, and Ellie Aldridge finishes off her Saturday on home waters in front of a home crowd on Eastney Beach in Portsmouth with an absolutely dominant victory. And Julia Damasovic from Poland, she's battling for that 1 Olympic spot against Austria and Spain, and that was a very good performance for the Polish rider. And now coming across for 3rd place, if she can hold on, it's Lily Young ahead of France's Heloise Pegorier and Spain's Gisela Pulido, and then it's the recovering Poema Newland, who was fighting for the lead but had that crash down, a rare error by the French rider. Maybe it was a piece of seaweed, we'll have to find out later, but dropped back at the end. And that, I wonder, will that be the difference between Newland finishing in 3rd and maybe Lily Young finishing in 2nd? I think that means that Britain is going to put 2 riders straight into the final, Ellie Aldridge and Lily Young. So we have 2 Italians confirmed in the men's final tomorrow afternoon, and we have 2 British women in the women's final. That's how we think things stand. Back to you very shortly. So there are the views on Eastney Beach, and the wind really came good this afternoon, Mirko. It's maybe getting a little bit chilly on shore with this breeze, but it's been absolutely perfect for some really high-octane kite racing.
I mean, today the condition, I mean, we struggled a little bit at the beginning, but then waiting a little bit and amazing race. We can see the leaderboard on the men.
And that's going to make you very happy, because 2 Italians straight through to the final. Riccardo Pianozzi with the 10-point gap on Lorenzo Peschetti, and that means he's got 2 match points to take through to the final tomorrow. We'll explain what those match points mean tomorrow. Martin Dolenc and Maxim Nochet in 3rd and 4th for Croatia and France, and Conor Bainbridge just outside the top 4 in 5th place. Max Zukowski from Poland, Theodor Ramakor from France, Yanis Maus from Germany, Tiger Tyson from Antigua, and Valentin Bontus just scraping in to the top 10 after that amazing performance in the final race for the very popular Austrian. So congratulations to the top 10 for making it through to the medal series, and Conor Bainbridge leading that battle for Olympic selection for Britain ahead of Germany's Yanis Maus. That's how things stand at the moment. That is the situation on Eastney Beach. It's going to get very busy in a moment with the kites coming back to shore, and the Royal Yachting Association have been organising the Inspire programme this week. They've been taking the opportunity to have this elite competition as the showcase for how amazing it looks at the top level, but how much fun it can be just to get yourself on the water and have a go at kiting at a recreational level. And it's been really fun to see so many kids enjoying their first taste of kiting, or even just getting out on a stand-up paddleboard or a wingboard. There's so many different ways to enjoy the water. One of the fastest and most exciting, we think, is kite foiling, and I hope you agree after what you've seen today. So that's the situation. We'll see if we can get you the overall women's scores after that last race as well, after that amazing finish by Ellie Aldridge. That should comfortably... We still need a little bit of time just to sort out the leaderboard on the women's scoreboard at the moment. There's some of the view on Eastney Beach. So this is all going to be happening again tomorrow for the medal series. So if you like what you see and you're within striking distance of Portsmouth, then do come down and have a look. Watch us doing the live stream, but listen to it while you're watching it live and seeing the riders out on the water, travelling at these phenomenal speeds and bringing great entertainment to the people on shore here at Eastney Beach. So pleased, Mirko, that you're thawing out after a colder start to the day, finally warming up.
Was not so cold. At the end, with the breeze here in the shade, is not super warm, but we managed, and we were really excited on the action into the water and looking the image, looking the tracking, looking the result. We were pretty busy in the last 2 races. And excited as well to see all the action from all the riders changing position, overtaking. It was really, really, really interesting.
And even just watching the riders come ashore and getting their kites back onto the beach and getting them safely landed onto the shore, that is quite a spectacle in itself. And I find it quite an adrenaline buzz just being in amongst all of that. It's super exciting just to be on the shore, even to watch them getting ready or finishing up at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, what this is the typical question that I get sometimes from people that they don't understand the kite. How you get it down?
Yeah.
Because you see from someone that is not familiar with this sport, you see the kite flying, and it's not directly that you connect that, okay, you can handle the kite with a line, whatever, but I just take it down, just put it down, and then, but how? No problem, we don't have any button, it's just with a bar.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting that you get a couple of really interesting questions from people that they don't know how the kite works. And as you said, it's really nice to see the guys coming on the beach, take the kite, lay down on the beach, easily take the hair off,
And we're seeing some great dad dancing there as well. We want to see more of that tomorrow. So
Yes.
some great moves. And
It's Sunday tomorrow.
yeah, I bet you didn't know that British dads could dance so well, Mirko.
I can. At the end of the race, we will do something together.
Okay, there's a challenge. he's really picking it up. Come on, Mum, you need to join in.
Mummy doesn't want.
So there's the situation on Eastney Beach. Still a lot of the afternoon to enjoy here. We hope you've really enjoyed the Goldfleet racing today. It gets even more exciting tomorrow because we get into the medal series. And if you're Italian, then you get particularly excited about having two men in the final. If you're British, then you get particularly excited about having two British women in the women's final. But remember that the way the medal series stacks up, any one of the top 10 of the men or the women can still end up getting onto the podium, and they can still end up winning the European title. So a lot could change tomorrow. So do tune in and join Mirko Babini and myself, Andy Rice, for the medal series action tomorrow for the last day of the Formula Kite European Championships here at Eastney Beach in Portsmouth. Look forward to seeing you then.
See you tomorrow.